All right, everybody. I think we are live. So we're going to kick off another Pokemon Rants. Today, we're with Brian from Pokene,
Hi,
building
all.
his way past the inner demons and before the upcoming credit card interest. He was able to successfully conquer these challenges and build a multi-million-dollar Pokemon business, and perhaps one of the top sealed Japanese sellers in all of the US. After building this core business relationships and working out the kinks of scale, Pokene is on a trajectory perhaps of unlimited potential. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain of this business and the man behind it to learn the brutal truth and the secret sauce that is Pokene. Brian, welcome to Pokemon Wonder.
That was a hell of an intro. I like that. Thank you for having me. This is going to be a good time. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm going to enjoy it, man. We're going to jump on in. Hey, iFOMO, PokeKid, glad to have you here, as always. We're going to kick it off with just a quick introduction. I hate to do it. I know you've probably said this 1,000 times. You've done a lot of great content on it lately, but just in case anybody doesn't know you, just give a quick introduction about yourself.
Yeah, so my name's Brian. I'm in Omaha, Nebraska. I got 2 adorable dogs. And I started the Pokemon card company as a part-time kind of side hustle to my real estate job back in 2021 when COVID brought the overpriced English cards to the world. I saw Japanese cards as like a replacement type thing. So met some folks in Japan, flew them on over, filled the gap in the market, so to speak. And since then, now we do Korean and we partnered with the English Pokemon card company. So now we sell everything. But yeah, that's about it. I'm messing with YouTube now, trying side hustles for the side hustle. I feel like that's like a good summary.
Yeah, that's a good intro. It's a good intro. And we'll dive into a lot of the details. One of the things, though, is you mentioned it. I didn't know that you actually flew out your contacts from Japan to kind of kick off that relationship. I know you were hitting them up and I think 1,000 messages on Instagram until you found somebody, but you actually flew them over?
Oh, sorry if I missed. No, I must have misspoke. No, I didn't fly anyone over. I'm not that
Oh.
fancy.
Okay.
But I suppose some Japanese folks who run NHK, it's like Japanese PBS, is how they
Okay.
described it. They flew over and we did like a lot, like an interview thing. But
Oh, that one. Okay.
yeah, but I'm not that fancy. I don't fly anyone out.
I was like, man, that was the way you got him. I was wondering how you got the Japanese contacts. If you fly them over and you treat them to a nice vacation here in the U.S., I said, okay, that would have done it.
No, just lots of DMs, and I mean, like we're all chill. We're all good friends. I all speak English really well, so like the relationship's really easy to have on both ends. But no, nothing too crazy.
Okay, you just caught me off guard there. I had to poke at that one a little bit. You did move into your new house recently. So how are things going? Obviously, you've had a lot of great videos. It looks like you've really kind of decked out the basement. You got all your storage lined up. I mean, how's the new house?
New house kicks ass. It's good. We built it, so that was fun. And
okay.
Yeah, so it was like a new construction thing. And we didn't do it because we're fancy. Because I'm always like, hey, no matter how big you get in business, keep it simple.
Keep it simple.
We built this house because we needed more space. We had a little tiny split entry, and this particular model we built, the basement's like 1,500 square feet, and a typical like commercial place in Omaha is like $6,000 a month, and you might get 1,500 square feet. Well, you can build a house, and this mortgage was only $1,000 more than our previous mortgage. So I was like, all right, pay a commercial realtor $6,000 or build a house and get the same space for an extra $1,000. So yeah, I mean, I love it. It's a win-win. Yeah. So my wife, she gets everything upstairs and she loves it. Super nice. And then I get 1,500 square feet of magic.
I have a feeling, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think you probably designed the house from the basement up.
Dude, again, not that fancy. As people are like, oh, you built the house. The custom builder here, they have like, 10 models to choose from, and then you can modify the finishes. But like, no, if I could build the house my own way, I would have made it simpler to move all my inventory up and down the stairs, because goddamn, that sucks.
Did you solve the problem of what was it? Something like moving every time you get inventory in the back, you had to like move it around the house and you kind of take it outside, something like that. Yeah. Did you get that fixed? You get
No,
some.
I just have to carry things a lot. It's not very fun. Good workout.
That's. I'm gonna say it's a warm up to your workouts. That's perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good cardio.
Hey Dan, good to have you here. Appreciate it. Thanks for the attempt on the raid. Much appreciated. We got some love from iPhone. He said, "Great videos lately, man. So keep it up.
Hey,
Good
thank
hustle."
you. I'm pulling up YouTube now. I want to see the comments. There we go. Hi,
You should
everybody.
be able to see it in StreamYard now. So on the right hand side, there's a comments box.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
now you can see him straight in there. You can even reply. So I think that should be the same thing. It's just slightly delayed than what you would see on YouTube.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah. I think that's a newer feature. You made a comment recently in one of your videos, and you said stress is fun.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Speak to that because that has a double-edged sword to it.
Yeah. So I mean, it's I think what people in my position do, like business people, is we really like to romanticize uh romanticize pain. Like you hear like business gurus romanticize like, oh, start your own business. You can work from home or on the beach. They romanticize. We all know that's BS. But then we also romanticize like the negatives, like yeah, you gotta put in the grind and blood, sweat, and tears. It's like none of that actually feels good. It sucks. Like you hear
Yeah.
David Goggins, all these people,
Oh
like,
yeah. Oh yeah.
and they almost make you pumped to like beat yourself up and hate
Go get hurt.
yourself.
Run until
Yeah,
your legs break.
yeah. They and when you're watching that, you're like, oh yeah, now I'm pumped and ready to go. And it's like once you actually get there, it actually sucks. There's nothing
Yeah.
fun about it.
No.
So I caution when I say stuff like stress is fun, but it does give you a little bit of a high, like a masochistic buzz, where as long as you can do something about it, it's enjoyable. Like stress that you can't fix, like if there's something actually bad in your life, like oh, my
Right. It's
mom's
different.
sick or my
Right.
brother, that's different. But stress where you can be like, oh, I got a lot of orders to do, but I can knock them out. That's fun because then there's
Right.
then there's like a release to the pain, and then that feels
Mhm.
good. So I have a
And
lot
you
of
get to
that.
see the results as you're moving through it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I
So
think that's
that's.
important.
Mhm.
So that would be my disclaimer. Stressed in the business world where you can fix it, that's
Right.
fun.
When there's a solution or an idea in mind that you can move towards the goal, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
it's one of those things I picked up on. I listen quite intently to a lot of the details, even when I can't watch it or visually see it. And I caught that clip. I said, okay, I want to ask him about that one.
You seem to listen intently to everyone you have. Like I've been watching interviews and like the little teeny thing. You're almost like Nardwar in the music industry. Like the little things you pick up, they're like, oh shit, you actually watch my content. It's impressive.
Well, I'm one of those guys that's a bit of an OCD in some ways. Some things I can really let go and just not worry too much about it, and it bothers my wife a lot, for example.
Yeah, I know that
But
feeling.
other things, like I have to have it very specifically, and I pay a lot of attention to detail. And a lot of that came from when I was learning how to program. So when I was doing
Oh,
software
okay. That makes
development,
sense.
I had to really know what I'm doing, connect many dots together, think, forward thinking on what's going to be there in the future and troubleshoot. So that's where I think where it all came from.
That tracks. That makes sense.
So we'll jump into the business side. And there's a lot here. I think we're going to have probably the longest podcast I've had so far. I'm anticipating a good conversation.
Dude, I'm all about it. Give me a bathroom break and a chance to yell at my dogs a couple times, and I'm all for it.
Nope, you gotta hold it. Let your dogs pee on the floor. This is how we do it here.
We got concrete down here. It's Gucci.
Talk to us a little bit about how you are with your product distribution. So I want to set the stage for where we're going next. And so I want to hear a bit of how you're distributed across maybe even languages nowadays. I know you started off with Japanese, but you've moved into English. You've now recently started doing Korean this year, if I'm not mistaken, and then a few others. But you've also went into other TCGs. You're doing merch. You're
Lots of
probably now
diversity.
looking at some small revenues from your content creation. So talk to us about where does this distribute in terms of your products and what you're selling.
Yeah, so so Japanese, that's how we started, of course. And we did that exclusively for, well, Japanese Pokemon we did for like exclusively for maybe 4 or 5 months, and then we moved to Japanese Weiss Schwartz, which is basically like it's a company that has a trading card game for 1 billion different animes and other things. They got Star Wars, Marvel, and all the animes you can think of. So then we did both of those, and Weiss Schwartz was maybe, I don't know, 5% of the business then. Japanese Pokemon 95. And then we tried out Korean Pokemon. This was all like the first 6 months of being in business, and that kind of sucked.
Wow.
And then we got an English partnership with the official Southern Hobby Distributing, and English became like 15% Japanese, and that was still top dog. And since then, now that we've been around for like 2.5 years, now it's like Koreans maybe, I don't know, 10-ish%. One Piece is like probably 5%, and then Japanese is like 80-ish, and English Pokemon's a little less than that. I need to calculate it out one of these days, but Japanese Pokemon's still like definitely top dog.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Korean grew a lot, 10%. That's a pretty big jump from where it was.
It did, and the reason why is because Korean's like just really cheap, and the sets are the same as Japanese. So like in English, we have Evolving Skies, which is, essentially EV Heroes, Blue Sky Stream, and Towering Prophet. But it's a different set. But Korea, they have EV Heroes. Japan has EV Heroes. They're the same set. The difference is Korea, that set's like 5 times cheaper. So now that the Japanese sets are so overpriced, the Korean equivalents have just boomed. Like, no one wants Korean Scarlet EX because like the Japanese version's cheap, but a lot of people want Korean 151. So that's why the bump in Korean happened, because it's cheaper.
Perfect. Yeah, and I've actually made that comment a few times about trying to see if there's going to be a movement to another language as the price in Japanese went up. Obviously, we're flooded with English, and do people move somewhere else? And it sounds like that might be the case here. Looks like we got a little bit of a raid as well. So thanks, Dan, for pulling that off. Welcome, Brad, William. Nice to see you here. I think a newcomer, first timer. Lots of other people rolling in. So welcome, everybody. We're going to have a long conversation here with Pokene and Brian. So sit back and enjoy, and we'll go through it. If you have any questions as we're going, feel free to throw them up on the chat. What about the merch? You didn't mention it. I mean, you're down in single digits there. So those kind of things are just for fun. Are you actually making money there?
Oh, I do a lot of stuff just for fun. The merch, actually, I got some good business advice for y'all making merch for your company. So we make our shirts, which are super cute, on Printful, and it's like a print on demand service. And we have actually sold a lot of them. Like, we've sold probably like 60 shirts, which like I'm stoked about. And here's the trick. No one actually wants to buy your shirt, probably. It's super cute, but like, I'm not delusional. So what I did was I make them. They cost me like $17 to make a shirt. I charge like 20 something, but I include 3 promo codes for $5 off your next order. So you're essentially getting $15 back. And so if you don't use the promo codes, I make like $5 a shirt. If you do use the promo codes, I get 3 sales that I might not have normally gotten. So I'm almost paying for more sales. So yeah,
take this shirt and come buy something from me.
Yeah, because I don't need to make money on the shirt. I think it's adorable. It's a cute design. Some cool guy in Colombia made it for me, and I'm like, so half the stuff I do just for fun, because like, why does it matter?
I like that idea, though. I love how you weave together your marketing strategy, and I'm going to call it that probably incorrectly, but you do a lot of things to drive the business that I find quite unique and interesting. And you've spoken a lot about that in your, past, 100 videos that you've created. So we're going to talk a little bit about that later in the episode, but I do like that a lot. But it's probably single digits though in terms of revenue. So it's just one of those things that drives the next thing.
It's basically if I'm cosplaying a business person, I would call it like a funnel. But in reality, I just thought it'd be fun because it is.
Yeah, Perfect. And I was wondering, do you have any copyright issues? Because you put some Pokemon on your shirts.
Yeah, a lot of people ask that. What people don't know is if you go to like any convention, like any anime convention, Collecticon, all of the booths selling cute stickers and little drawn things. A lot of people don't know how the law works. They say that, oh, it's creative. They have all these words that they use that they don't know what they're talking about. That shit's all illegal. You can't do any of that. Like, if you sell IP, whether you drew it or not, that's Pokemon's intellectual property, and you can absolutely get shut down. And people like try to pretend that that's not the case. They're like, oh, actually, this is no. It's like when people say, this is not financial advice. It's like, bro, if it's financial advice, it's financial advice, homeboy. So
You hear
yeah,
that, Dan?
my
He's talking to you.
yeah. So my designs are completely against intellectual property, and Pokemon can come and cease and desist my ass at any time they want. I just think I'm such a small fry, and I don't imagine that'll happen. There's too many illegal things that already happen with Pokemon cards, like, so I'm not worried about it. But in full disclosure, yeah, it's not safe.
I was wondering.
Yeah, just being honest.
Yeah, well, I think that as you hit then your $1 billion mark in revenue, then you have to shut that down.
Yeah, when I get to 7, 8, 9 figures, time to change things around.
Yeah, that's right. Stop selling the shirts.
That's right.
Let's jump over to the sales progress. I mean, we've had a lot of different views on how Pokemon's been trending. Leaving Sword and Shield, big boom, everybody's hyped. You come into Scarlet and Violet, everybody thinks the world's over. And then there's a fluctuation, and now 151's out, and people are pretty excited. Some people are not, and some people are whatever. It's a mix. How have you seen this in terms of actual dollars and orders moving through your business? So kind of talk us through maybe a little bit of how it was December last year and how it looks now, and how do you see that in terms of the market?
Yeah. There's a little bit of a, how do I even put it? The data's a little skewed because like this time last year, we were very new to the English side of things. And so if you're like a new vendor, you don't get nearly as much allocated to you. So like I would get like maybe 10 cases of a new set, and now I get as many as I want. So a little bit skewed because we'd always sell out last year. This year, sales have definitely gone down a bit in English. But it's only because I refuse to fire sell my stuff. So like you've got a lot of vendors in my position who, they saw Scarlet and Violet, ooh, new fancy Pokemon. Let's buy 500 to 1,000 booster boxes of, Paldea Evolved or whatever. And then they realize, oh crap, the market's not great. Time to fire sell. And then they sell all their Paldea Evolved for the warehouse price, which then affects the market price even more. So I got probably like $30,000 of Paldea Evolved. Like if I put it down if I fire sold like everyone else, yeah, that would sell quick because it's still a popular product. It's like people love it. I'm just like, this is stupid. I'm not gonna fire sell. I fire sold Fusion Strike, Chilling Reign, Battle Styles, and then 8 months later everyone wants them. And I think the same thing will be true here. I think it's like people are super short-sighted. I don't think sales or popularity of this stuff's any different than it usually is. I think 90% of the reason why all of this stuff is a failed product is because exactly what I told you. Us vendors got a little too greedy. We saw the dollar signs. We ordered way more than we ever could sell. And then the big dogs on eBay, you go to eBay completed listings and you see like this guy sold 747 cases. Those people contributed vastly to the low market price, because if you're a customer and you see, oh wow, this guy on eBay is selling each box for $90, that's below warehouse price, of course this guy is going to copy this guy. And then it gets down to small fries like me, and I'm like, well shit, I can either match these big dogs and sell my Paldea Evolved for $100 a box, or I can say screw that, I'm keeping them at 110. You don't make a lot of money either way. Like, I mean, the English stuff, the profit sucks. Yeah, the profit's trash. Like all of our profit comes from Japan and Korea.
But then maybe the better way to look at that is going to be, since you had Japanese at first, and that was probably a bit more consistent, how has the Japanese orders been from December to now? Are they been consistent, growing?
Yeah, Japanese been pretty consistent. when I was new, our whole thing was, oh, you can't buy English cards. Come here, get Japanese. It's more affordable. When I was new, I was afraid that like my only gimmick was, hey, you can buy Pokemon cards from me since you can't buy them at Target. And I
Right.
was super worried because I knew eventually that would change. I knew eventually Target would have Pokemon cards again. And then I was afraid all my customers would be like, oh, we don't need Japanese anymore. We've got Target. And that didn't happen because during COVID and,
Huh.
just collectors in general, Japanese products just got bigger and bigger. And now I think they're here to stay. I think they're mainstream now.
Yeah.
And because of that mainstream nature that they adopted, sales have been very consistent. I mean, you've got, obviously there's like some absolute crazy market manipulation happening now where things start out the gate way too high and then they, just like
The
Raging
drop.
Surf.
Yeah.
But Pokemon singles do the same thing. English singles do the same thing. It's
Yep.
like, oh,
Same.
like look at your YouTube page. Oh my God, 151 is crash. It's like, yo, this happens every time, bruh. So the Japanese stuff overall, extremely consistent. It's always been like 85 to 90% of our business.
Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, that kind of gives a good idea, and we know that English probably wouldn't compare. So, and then plus, you have a very good point because as you bring in new products, whether that was Korean or it was English, it does kind of skew your numbers. So it's going to
Mhm.
look like lots of growth, but you really have more product. You're selling more variations. It's going to look a bit different when you look at the overall sales.
Yeah, I think if
Uh,
I keep this up for like 5 years, that question will be a lot more like it'll have a lot more clear of an answer. It's just like
right.
we're still so new relatively that almost any answer to a question like that, I'm like, well,
Kind
kind
of
of depends.
depends. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's kind of a gray area. But you've been doing it at least you said 21, right?
21.
20 or when did you start? 20 or 21? I
Oh
forget.
yeah, 2021. January
Yeah, I thought so.
2021.
Okay. So at least a couple of years in, what are your slow months and what are your best months? Like, where do you see the fluctuations? Is it Christmas is the good ones, and February starts to die down? What do you see?
Strangely, our months are pretty damn consistent. I mean, we have a
Hmm.
holiday boom, of course, but
Right.
pretty much it's always about the same. And
Wow.
that's no
I'm surprised.
yeah, I am too, but I realize it's really no like pat on my back. It's more of like Pokemon. They know what the hell they're doing, especially if you go international. So if you're an English seller only,
Hmm.
your highs are going to be, November 3rd, Paradox Rift, and August, Paldea, whatever. But with what I do, there's the Japanese set comes first typically, and then and then another Japanese set comes out, and then English incorporates those two, and then oops, in between those two, Korea released the same set that Japan released. So like there's always like today,
Hmm.
for example, we're doing English 151 and Raging Surf came out. And then in a few weeks, Ancient Origins and Roaring whatever will come out in Japan, and then a week later. So there's always a new set.
Right.
And Pokemon's just
Consistent.
really good at keeping things going. So like there's never really a slow month. They're all the same. And then the holiday boom
Hmm.
obviously is like super high. But
And I think that's an interesting point because I didn't really think of it that way until you pointed it out. It's the fact that you're in both Japanese and English simultaneously, it
mhm,
gives you consistency every month. When I talk to my
mhm.
local LGS or you talk about Targets or your Walmarts, it's English, right? So they see ups and downs between set releases and whatnot. So it's a bit of a different view, I think, for you. So that's a
Yeah,
good point.
you get to double
Yeah.
dip everything. And I would have thought that, oh, like Japanese 151s obviously came out a while ago, and now the English 151's out.
Hmm.
It's not like one or the other though. Like a lot of
Right.
people that bought the Japanese set, they also want the English set, and
Hmm.
typically they come out at different times, which is almost always the case. So like all the people that bought Japanese English, now those same people and other people are buying English 151.
Hmm.
So Japanese 151, English 151, and then Korea comes in between those. So yeah, having multiple languages,
Okay.
it's the ultimate hack.
Where does the release schedule fall for Korean? I'm not too familiar with it. Does it fall in between? Does it follow the Japanese release schedule?
It's pretty close to the Japanese one. It's usually a few
Okay.
weeks after. So
Okay.
like we'll probably get like Korean Raging Surf in like 3 weeks.
Okay.
I should know better than I do. I just kind of go with the flow, but it's usually a few weeks after Japan.
Okay. Okay.
Definitely
Yeah. So
before
then,
English.
And then if you add in your other TCGs and things of that nature, you basically have no resting point.
There's always something new. The diversity is key. Like if Pokemon's at a little bit of a slow time, the new One Piece set comes out. There's always something.
Okay. Because I asked my local LGS one day, I was talking to him, and I asked him if he could survive if he was just a Pokemon English only business. He said, "No way."
Oh yeah, no chance. Absolutely not.
I would crash. I would burn a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about the average number of orders and I would guess really per day and week. What does that look like for you? Is it 100 a day? What's the numbers look like?
I should know this.
Roughly.
I have to do math. Roughly. So like every day we'll sell like between $8,000 and $14,000 of stuff, and our average order is $267. So divided by 260.
Oh, you know that, yeah.
So about like 50-ish orders a day.
Okay.
Ish.
Okay.
So yeah, our average order is stupid high. I'm like, where do these people get this money? Like $267.
That's a high average order.
Very high average. It's skewed a bit because a lot of people buy a lot of stuff, but it's nutty. I think the amount of money or debt in America is absolutely bananas. But yeah, it's like 50-ish a day. I mean, and then like we do pre-orders. So like for the past 2 months, we've had like the English 151 UPCs available for pre-order. So like when those come out on October 6th, like that's going to be a really horrible day of packing. But yeah, it's between like $8,000 and $12,000 of sales a day, just kind of depending on releases and whatnot. And then like per month, it comes to between like 3 and 350K. Again, just depending on what set. Like when the 2 months that 151 Japanese came out, those 2 months were 450 a month, which was busy. It
was good.
Kind of depends.
When you translate that then to profit margins, are you sitting on an average, obviously not per product, but are you sitting around 10%? Where does your profit margins typically sit on these?
Yeah, so back in like 2021, the good old days, our margins were like high as hell. They're like 25%, which is awesome. Like if I had those margins now, damn, I'd be doing good. But no, margins are trash. I mean, honestly, like it depends on the set. Like some things we'll do like a 20% margin on, some things we'll do like 18. And then stuff that we can churn and burn quickly. I'm a big fan of churning and burning inventory. 12. So all in all, it probably comes down to like 13 to 15% margin. Okay. It's like it's not that much money per order, but like it adds up. I mean, you could do the math. It's good money.
Well, and to your previous point, even if you're trying to churn and burn, you're still not doing it anymore at a loss, which was which is a big difference.
Yes,
and I think that actually also indicates that you have to be at a certain position because you couldn't have done that early on. You had to get the inventory out. You needed the cash. You needed the capital to kind of move to the next one after your credit cards were maxed out. But we'll talk about that.
Yeah, I can tell you all about that strategy. Yeah, I guarantee it's unique. But whenever you want to get to it.
No, go ahead. Tell me.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So when we were new, we had a few $1,000s put aside for this kind of thing, just from like garage sales, and we can talk about that whenever. But basically, what I did was I'd buy inventory and I'd sell it, and there was obviously a good 5 to 7 days. I was waiting for it to get from Japan to me. Right. And so churning and burning was rough because by the time it got here, I'd sell it and then I have to wait again. And like you said, it's like you're waiting for the cash to come back. You don't have a lot of capital to work with. So I looked at my wife and I'm like, hey, Shiny Star V, it's a new set. It's pretty hype. Let's just put it all on a credit card. And so we put like 11 grand on our credit card. We just bought 11 grand of it. And what we did was we did pre-orders for that. So the set was already out. Hello, wife. The set was already out, but I put pre-order, ships in 7 days. And then
I love how you use pre-order with air quotes.
Oh yeah, because it was already out, but people in America didn't know when it came out at the time. I barely even knew. So I was just like, I'll pre-order, ships in 7 days, which is how long it takes me to get it from Japan. And so, we'd sell $7,000 or $8,000 of them as pre-order, and then I could pay off my credit card immediately. So like, I didn't have any money to start this out really. I just leveraged credit card debt, and I basically like even Raging Surf for the first 500 boxes we sold, I didn't spend $1 on them. I didn't spend $1 capital. I just put pre-orders up. I took all the customers' money and I threw it at Japan.
Well, but that has a limit, obviously. And given your growth,
Not really. I mean, like at this point,
but I guess
you have
if your credit limit keeps increasing as your business grows, then yeah.
Oh, well, okay, yeah, the credit cards have a limit for sure. But
Right.
we're beyond that now because credit cards have limits, like we said. But when you have a big enough email list or any size email list, your credit just comes from your customers. So like I would basically go to my Japanese supplier and be like, hey, I'm probably gonna get like 1,000 boxes. Can you kind of put those aside for me? And they do that. And so then I put the pre-order up on my website. Everyone gives me their money up front, right? Because they're pre-ordering it. And then I just take their money and I give it to Japan. So it never even touches the credit card. I take the customer's cash and I throw it at Japan, and then they get me exactly what I need. So there's never a risk of being like over leveraged in a set. I just buy what my people buy, and then I'll buy extra, of course, for when they land. But if you can get to that point, there's really no limit.
Well, there's two interesting points there that I want to pull on. The first one is that doesn't translate very well to the $30,000 of Scarlet and Violet sitting to your right.
Yes, I can get to that.
Yeah. So how does that translate then?
So, in my opinion, and this is just completely my like ethics, I feel like as a vendor of Pokemon, I'm ethically responsible to put it available on sale. And what I mean by that is, obviously the set sucks now, but the Charizard UPC, for example, at the time, everyone wanted it, right? It was like selling for $300 on eBay. Well, I know a lot of vendors, and not judging, this is just what I know a lot of vendors who they ordered from their distributor and they just didn't put them on their website. They kept them to themselves and sold them on their private eBay at scalped prices, right? Because of course that happens, because you're not legally required to sell them at
one
MSRP
channel versus another one. Yeah.
Right. So that's point A. I believe I have to ethically make my products available for sale because I'm lucky and blessed enough to have that power to get them from the warehouse. But I don't need to give them a great price. So I want to keep Paldea Evolved. I want to keep Scarlet Violet Base. I want to keep Obsidian Flames. So instead of being like, nope, you guys can't buy any, I just have them on my website more expensive than everyone else because I know no one will buy them and I get to keep them. And so if I pre-sell, say, 300 boxes of Obsidian Flame, which is roughly what we pre-sold, well, I'll go to my distributor, Southern Hobby, and I say, hey, I want 600 boxes because the profits from that 300 I sold basically help reduce my spend on the 300 I didn't sell. And then I just keep those as like essentially like my retirement fund. Like I want to have extra. That's by design. I could absolutely just order what my customers pre-sell, and then I just wouldn't have any debt or leverage at all. That's on purpose.
But I mean, it's going to eventually reach a point where the amount of inventory you're sitting on, I mean, it's going to be on a cycle, obviously. It's going to be, as they get older, you're hopefully going to be able to sell them at the price you want. But there might be a window where you're sitting on so much that it's tied up too much of your capital. Do you see that being an issue in the future? Or do you think it's always going to reach a point where the oldest ones start to then roll off because now it's reached that 120 mark or whatever the market you're selling it at?
Yeah, I mean, I've really got it designed well where that just won't happen because and that's thanks to the Japanese and Korean stuff where I can make lots of profit on, because I don't do that with Japanese or Korean. I think it's too volatile. So the English is just kind of like the long-term stuff. And and if I ever get to a point where I'm running low on capital, which like hasn't happened yet, but say something horrible happens, I just won't order overstock on like Paradox Rift. I just order, I sold 300 boxes, I'll order 300 boxes. So, after, you can't do that from the start because you would run out of capital. But after 2 years, that's all it really takes, where you can start kind of accumulating things if you want.
Yeah, and that's kind of where my original question was. And I think we tied it back nicely to English versus how you were doing it in Japanese. So it does kind of feed each other, and the one feeds the other one because it's a different timing mechanism between how long you're going to hold the English versus how quickly you want to get rid of the Japanese. Okay.
That's the key. Yeah, you churn and burn Japan, and you hold English if you can, which
To
so far
at
so
least
good.
make the minimum, margins.
Yeah.
Let's roll it back, because the second point I wanted to pull out was the, let's call it risk for lack of a better term,
Mhm.
the risk on pre-orders. Have you been burned on that? Have you had to cancel a bunch of orders and do refunds? Like, what kind of situations have you been in terms of pre-orders?
Yeah. So when you have an official distributor, the English stuff, for example, yeah, things can go wrong, but like I wouldn't call it really risk, because like I'm dealing with
Okay.
a I don't know, Southern Hobby is worth a lot of money. Like I don't see a reality that exists where they won't be able to fulfill their allocation. The Japan stuff, there is a risk there if you don't have good suppliers. So um, the one time I got burned and I kind of learned my lesson was Paradigm Trigger. Paradigm Trigger was the
Mm.
set that's one with Lugia on the front. It's like a green
Okay.
box with like a Lugia.
Yep.
That's the set where everything shifted and Japan stuff got really stupid, like where it was like stupid before it even came out. And so what I did there is I pre-sold them. I think the market price was like, I don't know, $75. And I was told I could get them for 60. I'm making these numbers up a little bit, but
Right. Just roughly.
and so I pre-sold them for 75. I pre-sold like 300 boxes. And then my supplier in Japan was like, "Hey, the price changed. Now we want
Oops.
77." And so for every box that I sold, I would be losing
Ah,
$2. And
jeez.
and this happened to everyone. This was not just me. This was like everyone in my position, all of the sellers. My dogs are being so annoying. Can you hear that?
No, not at all.
Okay, good.
No.
I'll ignore it then.
Yeah.
So a lot of the folks in my position, they just canceled the orders. They're like, "Hey, sorry, customers, we can't do it." I knew that my reputation would be completely just if I
Ruined.
did
Yep.
that. So I just said, "All right, Japan, screw it." So I bought 300 boxes at $77. I sold them at 75. I fulfilled every single order. I lost $2 per box plus the
Plus
cost of
shipping.
shipping.
Yeah.
I was probably at like $2,000, like
Mm.
between shipping and import fees and all that. And it's like that happens, So that's when I learned it's like, don't pre-sell until like the day the set's out. Like we do our pre-orders basically on release day, because then the price in Japan's at least consistent.
You're right. It's really close to where it's going to be when it hits. Okay.
Yeah, because you can screw yourself really bad, which I did.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
But I've also heard the horror stories on the English side where you are promised allocation, but then it gets cut. Have you not had those problems?
That hasn't happened to me yet.
Okay.
Well, here's what people do. They don't there's a difference between what you're allocated and what your final allocation is. And I know for a fact that the people that you're talking about, either their distributor doesn't designate that or they're just being stupid, because Southern Hobby, there's a list of what you're allocated, like what you order. And
Right.
then it's like only 14 to 18 days before release where it's like your final allocations. And so like right
Okay.
now I'm allocated like it's like 700 boxes of Paradox Rift. But that's not finalized until like
Right.
way closer to November. So people that like, "Oh, we didn't get our allocation." It's like, "Well, yeah, you put all the pre-orders up 2 weeks after you ordered from the distributor. Of course that's not
Right.
finalized." That's when you get all the
Ah.
cancellations. And the
Okay.
thing is, they know that. They just want the free loan. So
Hmm.
that's what a pre-order is. It's a free loan from your customers. It's interest
Right.
free.
Interest free.
It's
Yeah.
brilliant, but it's also like unethical.
Well, and if you time it, and it goes back to your point you made on Japanese, if you time it really close to the release date, you don't have that problem because you've already gotten your finalized number. So
Yeah.
it's not like you're worried that, hey, I was going to get 300, but I got 200, and now I'm screwed. So that's
Yeah,
not
and
the case.
that's what these people do. So like I ordered, 600 boxes or whatever. So if I put 600 up for pre-order, that would be a stupid mistake because there's a chance that would get
Exactly.
dropped.
Yeah.
But what I'll do is I'll be like, well, I know I'll get half of it at least, so I'll put up 300, and then anything I get in addition to that, bonus. But people either are sloppy or they want that free loan, one or the other.
All right, I think that answers some of the mystery. We'll take a quick question here. We have one from the Pokemon Dentist. So having your business at home or anywhere for that matter comes with some security concerns. What do you take in terms of safety when it goes on with a vacation? How do you handle that? So I think he just never goes on vacation.
Yeah, I'm gonna text my wife to grab my dogs.
Yep, no
So
worries.
yeah, the security is kind of scary. Whenever we leave for more than like 2 days, I just hire someone to stay here. So like, there's always somebody here sleeping. My like brother-in-law lives real close, and it's like he gets a cool house, nice TV, like, and
Sit
he
back,
loves my
relax.
dogs,
Right.
so like everything's good. We went on a long vacation this last summer, and yeah, he just lived at my house for like a week. We've got cameras everywhere, security systems. I actually have 2 different security systems, because if one fails, then I at least have the other one. So
Right.
normal people have like the little ring thing on their windows that like when you open a window, it like we
Right.
have like Ring and Simply Safe. So like we have 2 of everything. And
Nice.
then we have really good
Redundancy.
insurance. We actually have 2 insurance policies on the inventory, and then our like home insurance. So we have 3 insurance companies. It's only a few $100s a month. It's like, why wouldn't you?
Right. Yeah, I think there was a comment. I forget in which live stream I was watching, but there was a comment. It was something like $150 a year was for 30K, and then of course,
Mhm.
the higher you go, it's not that much.
Yeah, it's not much at all. I don't even know how they make money, because like it's like, 'cause,
Well,
like I
hopefully no
assumed it'd
claims.
be, yeah, I guess I assumed it'd be like way more.
Yeah.
But it's like a couple $100 a month.
You
No
know,
big
you know,
deal.
half my audience is people who work in the insurance industry, right? They're going to raise their claim, the rates now.
Yeah, I hope not, because
Surprise.
I'm really enjoying this.
We'll change direction slightly, but we'll now look at this one. So, yeah, speak to your connection. Obviously, you've spoken about it in other videos, but having that there as a solid point for how you build your Japanese business.
Yeah, consistent connections, very important. And that allows, or that helps with the craziness of like, oh, we're canceling your orders, or oh,
Right.
price went up.
You're not
Um,
you're not out there ordering on eBay, right? That's kind of the real point. Exactly.
yeah, you need someone that you can trust and that will be consistent. I always say, because people are like, oh, are you afraid of getting scammed, or whatever? I always say, you want to build a relationship you want to build a relationship to the point where they'll make more money treating you good than they will ripping you off.
Right. Right.
So yeah, I mean, but it takes time to build that, and you go through a lot of losers before you hit a winner. I mean, we've tried probably 12 suppliers, and now we have like 2 that we use for most of our stuff, and then we have like
Okay.
2 or 3 ancillary ones. Diversity's key in that too, though.
Do you have your original one that was in the documentary you did?
I do. Yep, he's the
Yeah.
best.
Good. Good. Glad to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great guy. He built us, so we use
Okay.
him, and then we use this gal that we met just about a year ago. She's been great.
Okay. Good. Good. Yeah, having those is really important, and of course, keeping that relationship strong will obviously help to foster the future growth for both of you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, let's roll it back. We were talking a little bit about margins before we went off on a little bit of a tangent. I wanted to know where you get your shipping supplies. Now that you're moving this many orders, you're obviously having to keep a lot of stuff in stock. I watched you today packing some orders. I was like,
Yeah,
huh,
it
I
was a good
wonder
time.
where he gets all this stuff.
So if you guys have watched my like packing videos, the white boxes with the little lids, little
Yeah.
flaps,
Yep.
those are called white corrugated flap boxes, I think, and I get those on uline.com.
Okay.
Uline's basically like, you can get, it's like a commercial version of
Yep.
eBay. You get like commercial packing stations, and you can buy like handicap signs and wet floor signs. It's like a place where
Yeah.
corporations shop.
Exactly. Yeah,
So
we use them at work.
yeah, they're freaking
Yeah.
awesome. So we get most of our stuff from there. Bubble wrap I get from eBay. There's a guy that sells you could find him. He sells 750 feet long by 12 feet wide. They come in 4 rolls, and I think it's really cheap. I mean, maybe like $20 a roll. It's very cheap. So
That's
eBay and
good.
Uline, we keep it real simple.
Do you really look at the price point of what it costs you to ship a booster box? Like, do you break it down to that level?
I did,
It's
yeah.
okay.
like when I was early on, I knew exactly how much a poly bag cost, and I had it all written down. Like each poly bag was 0.01 cents, and each foot of bubble wrap. Well, I mean, you could do the math: 750 feet divided by whatever the price is. I had that all down, and the economy's changed a bit, but for the most part, it's all the same. So I don't like think about it now, but I'm like, oh, well, if it worked in 2021, it still works now. You get to a point where it's like, what's the point?
Well, and I think at the beginning, because I'm in the stage of doing that now, so I've tracked every type of package that I'm sending out. What am I actually paying for each of the pieces? And once you know where that's at, you don't worry too much about some small price fluctuations. But it's more of a sanity check just to say, hey, am I really screwing myself here and I'm not paying attention?
Am I really making money?
A check, then it's like, okay, yeah, that's fine. Then the rest of it's okay. You also made a comment about 4 months ago, and you stated that you didn't pay yourself. Has that changed?
Legally, yes. In reality, no. So I became an S corp, which I'm not that smart, but basically I'm an LLC, and I'm like an LLC hyphen S corp, which saved me a lot in taxes, is what my accountant told me. So I said, okay, screw it, go for it. And essentially, when you're an S corp, you as your business hires you become like a normal employee with benefits and blah 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 blah. And legally, you're entitled to a fair compensation. So and it's so interesting because it's subjective. So he's basically like, all right, because I'm like, well, can I just pay myself $5 an hour? He's like, well, no, you have to pay yourself minimum wage. And I'm like, okay, can I pay myself minimum wage? He's like, well, would you pay yourself minimum wage to do the job you're doing? I'm like, no. He's like, you'd probably pay yourself at least 17 an hour, right? I'm like, I guess. There's a lot of subjective concepts with the law, which is interesting. So I pay myself $20 an hour, and I write Brian a check for whatever, $2,000 a month, whatever it is. And so legally, I have to take that check and put it in my personal bank account. But based on, again, I have an accountant. He tells me all this. Based on like how my LLC is set up, Brian can throw that money back into Pokene without any paperwork or anything, on paper. So I pay myself, but then I throw it back in the company. So like I actually don't take anything out. Because why would I? What am I going to do with it?
So you're basically living off your wife's, and she's a teacher, right? So you're still living off of her salary 100%?
I was up until the last house. So our previous house, it was only $1,500 a month mortgage. I'm in Nebraska. It's cheap here. So yeah, we lived 100% off her. And now, I said I don't pay myself, but basically I pay Brian $1,000 a month because
to cover the rent difference,
to cover the mortgage difference. So I just chalk it up to, instead of paying a landlord for commercial property, I pay myself for the basement. So like, I guess I do pay myself kind of, but it's more just like I'm leasing space for myself.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, teachers, they make like people like teachers getting underpaid is such a meme, and like, trust me, they deserve more for sure. But if you live in the Midwest, you can have a nice house and just be a teacher. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
Yeah, I don't think I know anybody directly as a teacher, but I can definitely share the cost of living. We're in North Carolina here, so it's about the same. The same numbers is for the same square footage. It's not too far off. You got plenty of land. It's nice. Yeah, we enjoy it.
Yeah, I don't know who the people are that are acting like it's like that hard to get by. I assume they live somewhere expensive. I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Don't do it in New York City. That's all.
Yeah, but I mean, gee, move to Iowa. You complaining move to Kansas. It's all good.
We've got another question from Pokemon Dentist. Advice to start Japanese Pokemon connection. Buying random boxes, cases on eBay. Wondering in 10 years. So kind of, what's your thoughts on making that connection with your Japanese, sellers?
Yeah. So one thing I did to meet some Korean folks is I went to eBay. This is some mastermind level course stuff right here, guys. This is gonna be valuable to you. I went to.
We'll charge you after it's over.
Oh yeah, no, for real though. This is gonna change someone's life. I swear to God. This little sentence I'm about to say. So I wanted to find a Korean supplier, and I had no idea how to do that because like I found all my Japanese people on Instagram because there's so many posts on Instagram with Japanese cards. There's not a lot of Koreans on Instagram that do Pokemon. There's just not a lot of them. So I went to eBay and I found a Korean Pokemon card seller, and he wanted, some. I couldn't make money on the amount he wanted because he's got to pay eBay fees and whatnot.
Right.
So what I did was I got on the eBay Messenger, and what I wanted to do was be like, "Yo, my name's Brian. Here's my phone number and but you can't do that because eBay flags that."
Yep.
Here's what eBay. I think eBay is like a deca-billion-dollar company. They are still too stupid to recognize images. So what I did is I took a box of Pokemon cards and I put them on a desk, and I took a sticky note and I put it next to it. So anyone who's like maybe auditing the photos would see, oh, he took a picture of a Pokemon box, probably fine. Well, on the sticky note, I wrote, email me, brian@pokene.com. That's all I had to do. Like, that's literally how I met my first Korean distributor.
Oh,
and
that's
like,
hilarious.
you guys can copy this. Like, honestly, like I've probably sold $250,000 of Korean stuff from this guy. I emailed him and I'm like, hey, dude, thanks for getting my sticky note message. I'm like, can you give me like 15% off if I buy from you direct? He's like, bet. I'm like, all
right, let's do it.
So there's a trick.
Well, I was going to save this one for later, but I think it's an appropriate time to bring it up. I think I heard you hint. You didn't say it, but you hinted to the fact that you got kicked off of eBay. So what happened? Your account got closed or something bad happened, and you didn't really explain it, but I wanted to hear more.
All right. This will be the stupidest story you ever hear. Okay. This is, first of all, I should have been kicked off eBay for the story I just told. Like, that's definitely wrong.
Right. I thought this might be the segue to that, but no. Okay.
No. Okay. I should have got kicked off for that. Here's why I got kicked off eBay. 2 years ago, I sold, I don't even know what it was, some expensive thing. It was like, I was selling a Beats headphones, like Beats by Dre headphones.
Yeah.
I didn't even have a business yet. I wasn't even an LLC. Like, I was just like, I just flipped stuff on garage sales, and I sold these like $200 headphones. And I, for whatever reason, I wanted to save money on shipping because eBay shipping thing sucks. And I used a pirate ship, is what I used at the time. And so I printed the label on pirate ship and I shipped it to him, and everything was good. He left me good feedback. Everything was fine. Apparently, and I just found this out, apparently I didn't add the tracking information to that transaction. So eBay didn't recognize it as shipped, even though the guy got it.
Feedback.
He left positive feedback. You're going to think I'm making this up, but this is literally what happened. So that was my last sale I did on eBay, because after that, I got busy with life, and then I started Pokene. So this was about 2-ish years ago. And apparently, in that 2 years, I was getting like messages from eBay like, hey, you need to update this transaction. You need to, put the tracking number in. And I didn't see any of the messages because, like, why would I need eBay? And so just the other day, I was like, okay, I want to do international sales. And I planned on doing it through eBay because they have like a global shipping program.
Yep.
And so I opened up my old eBay account. I'm like, oh, it's been a while. And I set everything up, and I try to list an item, and it says, hey, your account requires action. Go to your messages. I said, oh, that's weird. So I go to my eBay messages. There ain't nothing in there. And so I email customer service. He's like, oh, yeah, your account was flagged 2 years ago for basically not confirming this purchase was shipped. And I was like, oh, I'm like, well, he got it. It was 2 years ago. He's like, well, we need you to put in the receipt proving it was a legitimate product, because like Apple Beats is like, they need to make sure it's not fraudulent, I guess.
Right.
And then we need a proof of delivery. And I'm like, bro, this was 2 years. I don't have that. I don't even know. Like, I don't even have an account with Pirate Ship. If I tried hard enough, if $1 billion was on the line, I'd dig through my files and maybe find it. But I'm like, I don't even know if eBay keeps track of, like, I have no idea who it's the stupidest thing. So I chat with, I'm like, I know it's not your fault, but this is ridiculous. I'm like, I've been on here. I started this account when I was 13 years old selling eBay. I'm like, I've had this account for like 15 years. Can we just override that? He's like, I understand what you're saying. I get that you're upset, but like, I can't do that. He's like, in order to override it, you have to go through these steps.
Sounds like a new account coming.
That's what I told him. I'm like, so are you saying I have to start a new account? He's like, well, your account's not banned. It's like you just need to do this audit thing, and I'm like, I
But I
can't do the
can't.
audit thing.
Checkmate.
Yeah, it's like I'm sure you were hoping for a more like interesting story, but like it's just essentially red tape is the reason I can't use my eBay account.
So I heard 2 lessons there. 1, get all your receipts from the yard sales.
I guess.
2, even if you send it, because I've actually had this issue recently on eBay myself. I'll even buy the label from eBay, and I'll go back and it looks fine. It clears off of my pending orders to be shipped, and then I go back and look the next morning to fulfill the next orders, and that same order is back again. I'm like, did he order the same card? So I go back and I double check, and the orders move back up as if it was not fulfilled, and I have to put in the tracking number again and mark it as shipped again.
Okay, so you've kind of seen this.
Yeah, and so it's been, and I actually reported it, and they said, "Oh yeah, we have an issue right now. You're one of many customers. Please go back and do this manual process for now." So,
well, ain't that something?
Yeah. So keep an eye on your eBay. Make sure that you put in your tracking numbers and it doesn't creep back up on you.
I guess I'm kind of pissed, honestly. But what are you gonna do?
So it sounds like you're gonna start a new one. So Mason, glad to join us.
Mason's here.
Terrifying business model. I think this is only the beginning, Mason.
I think dude, your business model is terrifying, bro. You got to rent space and pay employees. Like I think people in my position are terrified of yours, and vice versa.
I made a comment in Discord the other day. It was from something that always stuck with me since I was in Carowinds when I was a kid. It was grit your teeth, bear your load, enjoy your ride on Thunder Road. So you kind of saw that as you're going up, and then it dropped you down. So yeah, hold on, Mason. It's gonna be a fun conversation. I think it's better from here.
I love Mason's channel. That's some good content.
Me too.
That business model terrifies me, though. I see that every day, and I'm like, I'm so glad I never did brick and mortar. Like, damn.
I see him, and I talked to Rob. I've been trying to work out some times with Mason, but I talked to Rob at RNG-Gamez.
Yeah, I love that guy.
Man, he's great. But man, he takes a lot of risk, and
he does.
I would be scared. I would be scared to jump in like that.
Yeah, Rob and Mason, they both seem like real people. Like I don't detect any BS from their channels, and I'm so happy that there's like people out there that run this stuff and they don't BS about it. We need more of that. Agreed,
100%. Mason, we gotta get you on, buddy. So we heard a little bit about how you manage taxes, but I want to hear a bit more about it, especially not so much in the general sense, but if it's changed as your business has grown, because now you're sitting, if I remember you correctly, it was about $5 million this year is what you project at? Or is it gonna be more?
Not $5 million like this year. Like we'll hit 5 million like since our beginning.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not that fancy yet. I probably said it stupidly. No, but like this year we'll probably do like 3.
Okay. In the actual year of 2023. Okay, so that's still.
Yeah, okay. I'm projecting a pretty good holiday time. Because like the way I feel it, it's like if we're doing like 350 a month now, holiday time will be at least double that, maybe more. Right. Typically our holiday time's 3x our normal month, so like it could be a lot of money. We'll see. But oh my god, when you get to like when you get to any level even close to mine, which like I'm not even a big deal compared to a lot of people. Dude, if you don't have an accountant, you're crazy. That's a terrifying business model, not having an account. Like I came from Berkshire Hathaway, like everyone knows what that is, right? Yep. You know, Warren Buffett's deal. So I worked for a team that's part of Berkshire Hathaway's real estate. And the team was like top 10% of Berkshire Hathaway in the Omaha area. And the accountant works with a lot of like really ritzy ditzy realtors. So like this guy knows what he's doing. And so I hit him up like, yo, I'm from the Beers team of Berkshire. I'm like, can you hook me up? Can you be my accountant? He's like, yeah, I bet, dude. So I've got a great accountant and I don't know anything. I mean, he basically is just like, hey, keep track of all your invoices and receipts, organize them in Excel. Yeah. Right. So like I'm a horrible, I give a lot of tax advice, but it's basically just like the rudimentary stuff. Keep track of the who, what, where, when, why, and then you'll be good.
Okay. Did you change your strategy at all as you grew, or now from the 1 or 2 million in the first year or two to now where you're almost double? I mean, have you changed what you're doing other than the S Corp? Obviously was one of the big ones, I think, but anything else?
Yeah, so with the S corp thing, apparently I saved 11 grand that year, because the accountant says I did. But as far as strategy goes, I just spend a lot of money now on stuff. So like last year, it was like December 30th. I was like, you know what? Tax business expenses exist. I'm gonna go crazy. So I bought a $5,000 computer that I use for streaming,
Which
and I
looks nice, by
bought.
the way, the white one, right?
It's so pretty, right?
Yeah, yeah, it
It's
looks
such a
nice.
pretty machine. And it's like I genuinely used it for business. I streamed on it 3 times a week, like we talked about off camera. I could have got something much weaker, but I was like, if I owe this much in taxes, I'm gonna use this. I bought some. So if tax strategy is the name for it, all I did, I bought bougie stuff. I bought some nice ass metal shelves,
Yeah.
ritzy, anything that I could buy. I bought the best version of it and chalked it up to a business expense because like you get taxed up the ass in this country. So I'm like, so there's my strategy. Spend a lot of money. It worked.
I told you, Mason. It's only gonna get worse from here.
I'm the most degen business person. Like I think on YouTube, I'm like, watch me cosplay a businessman.
Yeah.
Slow down, take some notes.
Your comment and Instagram was hilarious.
Oh yeah. I probably said something like that. Like I'm just playing here, guys. Like it's all there is. Just playing.
What's up, Greeny? Good to have you, buddy. Thanks for joining.
Notes. I love that comment.
So one of the things that I kind of picked up on, again, you didn't say it, but I made a couple of connections and assumptions, so you can tell me if I'm wrong. But you really, up until this point in your last comments around eBay, you focused 100% on your website, and you've really stayed off of other platforms. What was the strategy there? Just avoid the fees, or was there something more to that?
Oh, you're giving me a little credit because I did explore here and there.
Okay.
So some people might not know I was on Network, which is like a competitor of Whatnot, Drip.
Okay.
It's like a streaming selling platform. It sucks. Okay. That's why you've never heard of it. But they were trying to compete with like Whatnot at the time. This was probably like a year ago ish. Okay. Time is goofy. Right. They paid me like a monthly salary to stream on there, and then of course I sold stuff and there was commission and whatnot. So I did that for a bit just because they paid like, it was like, I can't say, but it was a livable salary per month. I'll say that. Livable in Omaha, Nebraska. And I was like, all right, like that sounds chill. And a lot of people, I was afraid people would be like, oh, he sold out. So I did that in addition to Twitch streaming, because I had my community I built on Twitch. So I'm like, I'm not replacing heavy bands. I'm gonna just do both. So I streamed like 5 times a week. So Network
this was
a
comment you made off stream where you were doing it 3 days a week for like 6 hours, 7 hours. Okay.
Yeah. So Twitch, I committed to my community Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday nights for like 8 hours a stream, and then Network hit me up and they were like, "Hey, we'll pay you a crap ton of money if you stream here too." And I told them, I'm like, I'm not leaving my Twitch people, but I'll stream on your platform twice a week. And they're like, all right, bet. Here's a bunch of money. And I did that, and it just like, it was good money, and it wasn't the fee, because they still charge you fees, which is ironic because they're paying me a salary, but I don't know what the deal was there. The whole company's a mess in my opinion. But even though I was making good money from that, it was like, I'm like, why am I supporting a different brand? I don't want to be, because like part of the requirement with the contract was you had to stream twice a week and you had to post 1 time before each stream. Pretty easy contract, if we're being honest, like very generous contract. But every time I made a post like, hey, catch Pokene on Network, I was like, I don't own Network. I don't have equity in this company. So it wasn't even the commission. It's just like, why would I build up your company? That's why I don't want to rent commercial real estate. I'm like, if I get too big for this basement, I will either deal with it or I will buy a building. I will never, ever give money to another brand or realtor, or it's like a morals thing. I just don't want to. I pay myself, and that's it.
You're going to open your card shop on the building you're going to add to the backyard.
Yeah, I will sooner build a structure anywhere than rent space. I never rented an apartment. I never rented anything in my life. I'm just like, I'm against that. So So yeah, so I got off Network as soon as the contract was like 6 months, and as soon as that contract ended, I'm like, I'm out. eBay, we already talked about. I never sold on there once I started. And anywhere that I sold outside of my company, I got rid of, and now I only sell on my platform.
Okay. And I know a lot of your marketing's been around that too, and we'll touch on that in a little bit because I have some marketing topics. But Mason, yeah, I did hear that as well. Were you actually a realtor, or you just worked within a realtor's team?
Yeah, so when I started, so I bought a house when I was 22, which is absolutely bananas, but I was really good at flipping stuff. I
Congrats.
had money for it. And the team that sold me the house, I ended up working for as like I did like videos and marketing and paperwork for them. I was kind of their office guy. And then after like a year of that, I got licensed, and then I would
Okay.
sell. I I made like 99% of my money from just being their office video marketing guy. But then like
Okay.
when friends or family would move, I did their realtor. Like I was like the realtor for those transactions and got commission. And I think that's a lot of where my like I think becoming a homeowner at 22. So I just moved right out of my parents' house. I never had anything in between. And then getting my real estate license, I was like, well, shoot, I sold my old house and I didn't have to pay any commission.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean the real estate background's good. And then thanks to that real estate background, I have a bunch of friends like in commercial real estate, and they basically told me, hey, it's expensive. And I said, bet. And that's why I'm never gonna do it. I just don't want to.
Okay. All right. Well, and I want to ask one more question, and I'll ask your question in just a second, Mr. Walrus. Um, on that same topic, though, you had a really good thread and a video the other day around creating a business.
Mm.
We're going to do something fun and creative in a little bit. But one of the things you mentioned was a pop up. And I could definitely see, and I think there was even some comments in your live stream today when you were packing orders. People want to follow you. They would buy from you if you were started to sell internationally. Are you ever going to think about opening up maybe a pop up since you don't want to do real estate and pay somebody else? Are you going to maybe take something mobile and have a Pokene mobile or anything like that?
You know, we'll talk about it later, but I'm crazy, and I legitimately was about this close to buying an ice cream truck, like way closer than I even feel comfortable saying. I was gonna buy an ice cream truck and wrap it. The person that wrapped my car, like a Marnie anime car,
Yeah.
I was gonna
Got
pay them $4,000 to wrap this ice cream truck, and then instead of like you open the little garage, and I was gonna sell cards out of there. And
Yep.
this was like a year and a half ago. I had this idea. And so I was real close to that. And I kid you not, the only reason I didn't do it is because I'm scared to drive anything bigger than a sedan. And I
Mm.
would have to pay a driver. And I thought that was stupid. And that was my logic I'm clinically insane. Um, so
What?
so I was gonna do a mobile shop, and then I was like, nah. And as for the pop-up shops, like I did every week at my mall, I did those. There was like a designated area for that, and that was super fun. And you can actually see it on the Vice. We got on the
Oh, okay.
Vice YouTube channel.
I'll
We
have to
got
go
like a
check it
million
out.
views. It's nutty. But you can see us set up
Oh
at
yeah, I
my
remember you actually carrying an inventory.
yeah,
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 yeah.
I
So we
remember
did
that. Yeah,
that like every
yeah.
weekend for like a whole summer. So that was fun. And then I got a convention here in Nebraska in like mid-October. But as far as like me renting space
Yeah.
other than like a kiosk or a table, like no.
Okay.
I just because I don't have time.
Well, I'll share something with you. I hadn't even shared with my wife yet. It's funny because
Oh,
I'm probably just as crazy as you are because it was ironically today that I was looking at ice cream trucks.
no freaking way.
Today, I actually probably still have the tab open. I was looking at ice cream trucks, those little mobile things you can attach to the back of your car and like have a
Yeah.
full kind of pop up shop. I was like, because we were down at our local kind of mall area, which is just one exit up, and this pink little camper got set up, and she's selling clothes out of it. And I kind of looked at that. I was like, huh.
Interesting.
They allow them to do that here because it's a really nice area. It's kind of high end. You
Sure.
have a lot of traffic. People go there every weekend. I'm like, man, they have a movie theater. They have outside parks. They have the kids playing in the middle. I'm like, this is a good spot.
It's
And today I
brilliant.
was looking at ice cream trucks. So I'm probably just as crazy as you. So don't
Bro,
worry.
that is I've never met anyone else who was about to buy an ice cream truck. This is wonderful. Like mine was like $6,000. Like is that about right?
We'll go halfsies. No, it was a lot more. The one I saw was 20.
Okay, mine was really sketch. So like
Okay.
20 sounds a lot more reasonable. Um I've
it,
got
it
like
looked
really
relatively new.
Oh, okay, mine did not. But yeah, I mean, shoot, like, dude, I think it sounds like a fun idea. If I had
Yeah, it
if
would
I
be
had the
fun.
amount of money I had, but I didn't have to work for it, I would do that.
Fun question. What song would you play if it was the ice cream truck driving up?
Oh, that is a fun question. Honestly, anything by Blackpink. I've got a K-pop obsession right now.
Okay,
I'd
okay.
probably play Ice Cream by Blackpink. I don't
Nice,
know.
nice.
Yeah,
All right, Mr. Walrus, thanks for waiting. So, no strategy on singles or graded. I was going to ask you that anyway, so he beat me to it. What's your
absolutely
thoughts
not.
there? Huh?
Absolutely not.
No, never.
No, that stuff. I'm not smart. I'm really good at selling stuff that's new, that has a relatively consistent. Nothing's consistent in this industry, but singles, oh my god, the ups and downs and all
Well,
arounds, and
relative
then
to that,
there's
yeah, maybe.
oh, and then there's condition, like, oh, this is near mint, and this is mint, and this is light. All that stuff sounds horrible. Like it sounds, and that's 'cause I thought about starting an LGS two years ago. I was like, oh, that'd be fun, but you kind of have to do singles when you're like a local
You
game
have to.
shop.
Yeah, yeah,
And I'm like, and there's so many. Like me,
yeah.
if you ask me, hey, how much does Shiny Star V box cost? I'm like, oh, like 125 bucks. And if I don't
That's
know
it.
that, I can Google Shiny Star V in 5 seconds. With a single, it's like, oh, well, that's the Charizard from the EX era, and it's got a special stamp on it. Screw that. That sounds awful. So never. That you'll never get singles from Pokene.
Well, you know, I want to challenge you just a little bit. I saw you in the video with your wife, and you guys were talking about a day working, and so you just kind of some B-roll going. But I saw you sleeving up and putting them in
Hmm.
the card saver. So what was that? Those were singles.
Okay, that's true. We do like promo singles. So if there's like a
Uh,
new trendy thing,
okay.
ironically, we started with the Charizard Illustrator card. So yes,
Okay.
we will sell like promotional singles where we can buy
Okay.
500 at a time and just put them in a top loader. But as far as
Okay.
like card shop stuff, like no, just like twice a year those promos.
Okay.
So good
All right.
point there.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. Yeah, I saw that. I was like, okay, I'm gonna ask him. Maybe he's changing his business model. I hadn't heard anything yet.
Yeah, you won't find typical singles at Pokene, too much.
Yeah, just a little bit of fun here. Old school Pokemon. Shouldn't you be
Hey.
working, Rollis? He says, no, I'm listening for free. Yeah, I'm sorry. I meant to say you have to swipe your credit card. We're gonna have to cancel the stream until you do so. It's only $1.99 per minute. So no worries, no worries.
That's awesome.
All right, let's jump over now. Staying in the business, but let's jump over. We talked about a singles area. But are you going to do anything else other than just sealed Pokemon? Are you going to venture your business into something else, even if it's plushies or anything like that?
Yeah, so we sold some like, little accoutrement items for a bit, like keychains and plushies and all that. And like that kind of sucked because shipping that stuff, it's all big and it's
Yeah,
cheap. It's just not worth
irregular.
it. Yeah, keep it simple. We moved to a few different IPs. Like we did My Hero Academia. That set sucked. No one wanted it, at least for us. We did like Yu-Gi-Oh. No one cared. We tried Magic. No one cared. White Shorts. A lot of those sets did quite well, so we're sticking with that. And then One Piece has been great. We can't get English One Piece. I wish we could, but we have Japanese One Piece.
Okay.
That's as like diverse as we're ever gonna get. Is just if there's a new IP out, we'll go for it. But that's it.
So you're sticking with sealed product.
Mm-hmm.
Move around TCGs a little bit wherever it's hot, but that's it. That's where you're staying.
Yep. I told my wife, I'm like, I'm gonna play for like a year and a half and try a bunch of different things. I started a jewelry company at one time while doing Pokene because I was like diversity, and that sucked. And so I'm done playing. This is what I do.
Focus.
Yeah.
We had a couple of other fun comments here. So, Mr. Walrus, I actually love that song.
Such a great song.
But I don't know that mom and dads would walk up. A few would. Don't get me wrong, a few. But I probably won't attract the masses with bodies hit the floor and then selling Pokemon.
I mean, my target demo is like 25 to 37, so like it'd actually be great.
It might. All right, so we got to know, Brian. You got the hair, man. What's the product in the hair, man?
Dude, the amount of comments I get on my hair, it's absolutely bonkers. And I'm actually making a vlog, and I bring it up, and I
Okay.
there's a spoiler alert. But honestly, it's like I don't even know what it's called. It's like $20, and you can get it at Target. That's all I do, and I use like
Just
Garnier
run some of that through
Fructis.
there, and that's it.
Yeah, I just have really good hair. Like
You got
my
some thick
parents
hair.
gave me about 7 things that are horrible about me genetically, but my hair was the only thing I got that was good, so I'll take it.
You can grow a beard and hair, so we'll take those two, right?
Yeah, yeah. The other stuff's fine. Like I'll die a little earlier than other people. It's fine.
All right. Let's move over to the international shipping topic. It's one of the things that you and I commented about in your live today. You've really kind of been missing out in a sense because you have a big fan base. And as we saw in today's live, that was from around the world watching you at, I don't know what time it was, 12 o'clock during the day here. And they were wanting to buy from you, but you just weren't shipping yet. So what's your thoughts behind why you haven't? But then I think it sounds like you're actually going to take that jump now and start to jump into it.
Yeah, so we did international shipping like quite early on, maybe 6 months in, 8 months in. We did Canada and Mexico.
Okay.
And what I found quickly was it was hard to price the shipping. And maybe I'm just stupid, which could very well be. But with such a variety of items and different, if we only sold Japanese booster boxes that were 6 by 6 inches,
Right.
I'd probably look into it harder. But there's big collection boxes and English box.
Yeah.
There's so many things, and then people will buy so many different quantities of things. And at least the way Wix, which is the program I built my site on, at least the way they like allow you to price your shipping, it doesn't make it conducive to like put things together in a fair price. So I could charge, $100 for international shipping, and that way I'm guaranteed not to lose money. But then if some guy in Canada wants to
Or just
buy
that one
like
pack.
one
Yeah.
box,
Yeah.
he's going to be pissed. And then the other way around, I've lost my ass. So I had really cheap international shipping, and people took advantage of that, as they should. And so some guy in Mexico was like, oh, his international shipping is only $40. I'm going to buy, 10 cases of this. And then I lost like $300. You know what I mean? So there's just so much inconsistency.
It's
And
strange.
and it's complicated. And I just, what I said was like, I have enough Americans that are buying from me. I can barely keep them stocked. I'm just going to keep doing America. Well, now I have enough inventory where I could do international, but like, I'm just not smart enough to do it in a way that's good for me and the customer. So what I'm doing now, and we talked about eBay a little earlier, I want to get my eBay account set up because eBay has like some pretty good international shipping tools, which makes it really easy.
Yeah.
Apparently, and then affordable for both parties. So that's going to be it'll be the first time I sell on a different platform other than my own, which I'm reluctant to do, but like I clearly have demand for it, so I'm going to do it.
Get a lot of eyes on eBay, that's for sure. Fees aren't the best. I'll just speak to it very loosely. I'm surprised that Wix doesn't do a better job because many times I use Shopify as an example. And they'll take the product weights. And then when you have multiples, obviously they don't give you the exact box size, but anytime you have one that's in a specific box size and you create a standard template for that, they combine the weights. Obviously at some point you got to change the box size, but that's okay because they've taken the weight into account. And then it's just obviously from and to location in terms of the distance. And then of course they pick the shipping provider. So in my case, it's a variable cost that shouldn't put me too far down the hole other than changing the box size. And it's usually pretty close within a few dollars. Sometimes I might gain $1 or $2. Sometimes I might lose $1 or $2. I'm not really trying to make money on shipping anyways. I'm just trying to make sure I cover the cost. And so I'm surprised Wix doesn't do a better job with that.
I don't want to trash on Wix. Like it might be that easy. I just, I'm very aware of what I'm good at and what I'm not good at. And I've only been successful at anything for like a couple of years, and it's just doing what I'm good at. So you're probably right. I'm sure Wix has their crap together. It's just like I messed up once and I just haven't looked back into it.
And you bring up a good point, Ifomo. one perspective of that as well is going to be the customs inbound, and that's one of the things you don't know the price on, and it depends. So if it's under a certain dollar amount, it can sometimes just slide through customs, and they don't have to pay anything. It depends on the country as well, but there are times when you send it, they're going to have to pay to get out of customs, and you can't even tell them how much it's going to be.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a challenge, and it's unfortunate when customers don't know that, and then they complain, and you have to explain it to them, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's out of your hands. It's between them and the customs.
Yeah, and then they call their credit card company and do chargebacks and blah blah
Oh God.
blah. And I see Mason's comment. The next
What
is
is
all that stuff. I'm too stupid to want to deal with, but I know eBay will deal with it. So
for
that's
you?
why
Yeah.
I don't want to mess with it on my
Yeah,
site.
exactly. Yeah.
Because I'm like, you can yell at eBay.
And I think you brought up one thing I do want to maybe pull on a little bit, and that's chargebacks. I've had my first one recently.
Ooh,
Didn't go well.
Bad day.
So tell me, have you been ever successful in getting your money back?
Okay.
try?
Yeah, this is a whole thing. Can you excuse me for like 1 minute?
Yeah, sure. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I'll be right back.
All right. Yeah, sure.
Because I'll tell you all about chargebacks. It's a hell of a story.
All right. I didn't say it. Go ahead. I didn't say it earlier. Old school. Thanks for joining, man. I don't think I've seen you live yet. So either you were lurking or you just didn't join. So appreciate you being here. Let's see. Mason, appreciate it. FOMO, Pokey Kid, Mr. Walrus is always in here, keeping the chat lively. Jackson, new one, hadn't seen you before. Welcome. I don't think you got your answer though, unfortunately. The hair product seems to be somewhat mysterious. Go to Target, spend $20. Hope you find it. Canada, let's see. We got one for Canada here. So if you're sending to Canada and it's over $50, getting it without a huge hit on custom fees. Yeah. I've shipped a few things to Canada. It was about $1,000, and yeah, I had to pay customs fees. Yeah, chargebacks are not fun. I don't know, Mason. We'll maybe save some of that for our conversation as well. But it is not great. Yeah, there we go. So Shopify chargebacks are automatic loss. Yeah, I put my claim in no matter what. I basically gave them the details, tracking numbers, all the information that I could. But at some point, and I get it, from the buyer's perspective. And when it was me and somebody stole my credit card and they bought something, I was glad I had that. But then from the business perspective, it's also terrible. It's a lose-lose really, in terms of who they should protect the most. Yeah, I can see a perspective on both sides. Uh-oh. That's hilarious. Oh, I love your witty humor, Mr. Walrus. It's always good to see you in the chats, man. His hair product is glue residue from his past. Then it should be a lot cheaper than $20, man. You don't need to go to Target for that. He's got plenty of packs laying around. We're just memeing on your hair glue for just a minute.
The hair glue, yes. Yeah. It's powerful stuff.
Oh wow! So Mason's about 8,000 in on chargebacks with 0.
Right, you go. That's about right. Yeah. So
yeah, tell us your story.
There was about a year-ish where I'd get a chargeback every so often, and no, I didn't win any of them. A couple $100 here and there, it wasn't a big deal. But then maybe like you could watch if you went through my TikTok far enough back, you'd see it. But maybe like a year and a half in or ish, I was getting hit again and again and again and again. I woke up every morning for like 4 days, and my phone was like, "You have a chargeback. You have a chargeback," and it ended up being $12,000 in the course of a few days. And it was this whole operation based in Chile, I guess, where a team of a few people, maybe I assume they were a team because it was all in the same time, but they just kept on hitting my site, and I'd ship it to like Buy and like Zen, whatever.
Yep.
Basically, their shipping address was like a version of that, based in like Florida, and so I'd ship my stuff to Florida, and then Florida would ship it to Chile, and they would use these stolen credit cards, and then the person would charge it back. I think it was thousands of dollars, and I was like, it was probably the most stressful in a bad way, stressful and disheartening thing part of
'Cause you
my
can't fix
life.
that. Yeah.
You can't fix it. And it was every day I'd wake up and I'd lose $2,000. It was the most horrible feeling. And like, the solution was, number one, I don't ship to those stupid things anymore. Uh like if I see an address that looks like one of those like outgoing international
Mm.
bays, I don't care if it's legit or not, I cancel the order. So that
Mm.
saved me a lot. And then number two, if you have a different shipping or billing address, I straight email you. If you're in a different state, I'm like, hey, your shipping address is in New Hampshire, but your billing address is Florida. What's up?
Mm.
Because I don't want to deal with it, because that's a big telltale sign. Um, I called Wix and they got me hooked up with this, like, I'm gonna say the word wrong, but some sort of encryption where they have to do an extra step to prove they're legit. I think it's like a CAPTCHA, something similar to
Okay.
that. And because of that, a lot of people got their card declined that shouldn't have necessarily been declined. And they were like, hey, your
Mm.
website's doesn't like my MasterCard anymore. I'm like, use a Visa, you know. And since
Just
then,
get around it. Yeah.
yeah, and since then, every month I'll get one, but
Not
using
much.
those protocols has saved me, because it was bad.
Well, I don't know if Wix has it, but I put in ZipPlace the fraud. I forget the exact name of the flow add-on, but in
Hmm.
Shopify, it was like a fraud kind of workflow. And so I basically set up this workflow, and as orders come in, if it's hit on a certain risk level, then it will just cancel the order automatically. I don't have to
Yeah.
deal with it. It just cancels it, and then it's done. And of course, it looks at other things like different hiding IP addresses, different addresses. It does all that other stuff too, as far as the risk level. And so, if it hits that high risk level, then it just gets canceled. But the problem is, uh, I also use Binder POS for
Mm.
single card integrations. So that syncs over to TCG Player and eBay. And as they sync the orders to Shopify, because everything gets synced back to Shopify, they don't necessarily pass all the right information back to Shopify. So Shopify thinks, hey,
Oh,
these are fraudulent orders. Well, no, they're not. They're actually good orders, but you just didn't get all the customer details because eBay didn't give it to you.
gotcha.
So
That
the
sounds
integration
annoying.
process gets complex, and I'm trying to talk to all three companies because I'm now having to recreate fraudulent orders that were automatically canceled and then fulfill them in. It's a whole mess.
God, that sounds awful.
And I'm trying to explain it to the people at the companies. They're like, "Yeah, go talk to the other company." I'm trying to get all of you to work together here. So it's terrible. It's
Yeah,
terrible.
that sounds absolutely wretched. Like,
So talk to me a little bit now about some of your business inefficiencies, maybe that you have or have not solved, that you've kind of seen through this 2-year journey. What were some of those, or what are some of those, and how have you addressed them? And which ones did you actually decide, you know what, I'm just going to leave it in place because it's not big enough for me to deal with?
yeah, so I think the number one, which I get called out for a lot, is, Brian, you make all this money. Why don't you hire someone? And like, yeah, I know it, bruh. Like, I'm very aware I should hire help. And I think that's probably my huge bottleneck to scaling. Because if I had someone that would pack my orders, I could live stream again. And I made a lot of money live streaming. I could also work on my YouTube career, because I'm a YouTuber now. I could just like walk my dogs more. I could do a billion things if I had an employee. The reason I haven't done it yet is because I operate out of my house, and like, I don't really like people. I'm very introverted. In this
Same here.
magical world of the internet, I'm very extroverted. No one would know. And I love interviews. I love all this stuff. But when I'm at home, I don't want to talk to people. Like, so having some 17-year-old
Yeah.
kid in my basement from 9 to 5 every day, it sounds awful. Like, sometimes I just want to walk around the house naked. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to have some random dude in my basement. And my wife doesn't either. And on a slow day, if it's a relatively slow day, I mean, what do? I just hang out with the dude? You know what I mean? Like, I have 4 friends, 4 good friends, and that's the only people I want to see other than family. So that's the main issue. Like, if I had a separate building where I could come and go and the person would be there, and I'd be friends with them, but like, I don't want to do that. I don't want that work
Right.
life conflict. And it's probably costing me hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales a year, no doubt about it. Other inefficiencies, probably. Oh, I've got this thing down to a pretty good system now. I'm pretty quick with order fulfillment and whatnot.
That was some of the ones you had that you actually fixed, which was slow fulfillment, taking too long, not being able to do it within a given day. So you've addressed all of those points.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much it's like,
Okay.
I've got it down pretty well. I've got a good system now, other than just, why don't I hire somebody?
Good. Sounds like a problem, much like real estate, that you don't plan to fix. So we'll leave those there.
Yeah, I just kind of gotta live with it.
All right. Let's move to your YouTube channel. I heard you say once that, I've tried to build a YouTube channel many times, never really was successful with it. I give up. I'm not doing it anymore. But I think that's changed. You've done a lot lately. I think that's been quite substantial growth for you. So what was the change and why did you take that approach?
I got bored. Like,
Simple.
straight up. I've always had this arbitrary aspiration to be a YouTuber, like every other stupid kid in their 20s. And I tried all sorts of things, and they never really worked. I actually had an ASMR channel for a bit. Like, I was like cutting soap.
What is that?
ASMR. Like
What
that
is
satisfying content.
Okay.
Stands for like autonomous sensory meridian response. It's like the tingles you get in your head.
Yeah.
Look it up. It's a fascinating industry. But there's this girl, GB ASMR I watched, and she started like 6 years ago, and she probably makes like $15 million a year doing that. And I was like, I mean, I could get a chunk of that. So I started that. I did it pretty consistently for like 4 months. Got monetized actually, and made, I don't know, a couple $100, and then I got bored, so I stopped. And I tried to be like a gamer. That sucked. The Pokemon thing, I never tried at. Basically, anything I'd make on Instagram, I just like post to YouTube, no editing, just like meh. And the only reason I started trying on YouTube, besides I was bored, was I realized I didn't need to use a computer. A dude showed me the CapCut app. It's like an app on your phone. Anything you film, you can just like do all your editing on your phone. So all my videos are only just edited on my phone. So when I'm like on the couch or like before bed, that's when I make all my videos. So it's just like I got bored and it's easy. And I'll probably get bored again and never post another video. That's very possible.
Well, you've got a lot of good content that I think will grow for many years. So at least you built up a good base for now.
I mean, a lot of it's evergreen. So like I could quit tomorrow and maybe get like $12 a month in ad revenue. We'll see. Passive income.
Retirement.
Right.
Here we come. Do you see a lot of growth though? I mean, has it been, because I think you were well under 5,000 subscribers a while back. So that's been recent, right?
Oh, dude, the growth's crazy. So part of being crazy like I am is you get like the manic streaks and you just go at it. So I had like 2,000 subscribers on YouTube for, I don't know, more than a year, maybe 2 years, just stagnant. I had a couple of videos that got like 20,000 views of me reviewing a hot tub. I bought a hot tub for my garage, and I got a ton of subscribers from that, which is goofy. This was like 3 years ago.
Strange.
And yeah, so I started 3 weeks ago, and in 3 weeks I accumulated 3,200 subscribers, 12,000 hours of watch time, and all sorts of really impressive things that I got lucky with. And so I got monetized like in the past 3 weeks, and I made $400 now, which I'm stoked about. So I'm like, God damn,
that's awesome, man.
Dude, it's nuts. It's the craziest little world. So I'm like, this is sweet. So I'm stoked about, like, I made $40 like day one or some stupid amount. I was more stoked about that $40 than any amount of money I made doing Pokemon. Like I called all my friends. I was amped.
Guys, check out this. I made $40.
Oh yeah, it was like $42.18, some stupid random amount of money, and I was amped. And I made $8 on Amazon affiliate program.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love it. Like I can't get enough of YouTube right now, but I will inevitably get bored and I will never make another video.
Well, hopefully you'll still make some money, and it'll be substantially more than $400 or $40.
It won't be fun anymore though. Like that $40, I will chase that feeling for the rest of my life. That was the funnest $40 I ever made. It'll never be exciting again.
Yeah, Jackson, we all have to have sugar mamas. Before anybody starts into Pokemon, we first say, honey, I need you to support me while I go down this path and we make no money. Actually, we're going to lose money for quite some time. You have to have it. It's a requirement.
I feel like a 6th grade teacher is about as far from a sugar mama as you can get. Like I said, a teacher salary is all you need in Omaha, Nebraska to live. But like that, teachers are like the most memed, underpaid person in the world. So like, yeah, like
Well, she took you on vacation, so I mean,
yeah, no, I mean she, she makes plenty of money. But like I hear sugar mama, and I'm like, nah, like we don't make that much money. I just did we just had 2 incomes for a while, and then like I didn't quit my day job until we were making like triple that doing Pokemon.
Okay.
So just start slow. I mean, I definitely don't quit your day job like that quick.
So I hear you. My fiance is a high school teacher. Yep. Perfect.
You get it then.
You got it. You're already set up, man.
You're set.
I want to hear a bit about your marketing / video strategy, because you're obviously going back to the points we made earlier on really funneling most of your traffic, most of your sales back to your site. A lot of your videos and marketing around yourself and the business has been back to that channel. What's been your strategy for this? Because you kind of came in hot and heavy in the past, I don't know, what, month or two? So did you give it much thought? You just hit record and you started talking, or did you really plan this out?
Yeah, I make a lot of really impressive business moves, and they're all accidents. I just like, I get really passionate about things, and I go really hard on them. So someone in my comments actually was like, Brian, you should probably slow down the YouTube. YouTube prefers a consistent supply of videos they're like, if you give all your ideas in 1 month, like you're not gonna have anything to grow with. And I know that. I'm smart. I understand that. But I just like pumping out the content. So my only strategy, if there is one, is to just actually produce valuable content. Like actually, because I take hours on my videos. Like the one that got like 82,000 views, that got a lot of views because like I sat down on an iPad and I typed a script up and I retyped it over and over again, and it was like 8 hours of typing and then a couple hours to edit. It's like 12 hours. So like that's my only strategy, is just be completely honest and transparent to the point where I'm like almost self-deprecating, even if it's tongue-in-cheek, and actually give value. Because like value to the point where you could do everything I say and actually legitimately compete with me. Because I'm not scared, because it's such a big company. Pokemon's so big, there's not competition. And I don't know who said it, but someone was like, I give all my secrets because 99% of the viewers are just there for entertainment. 1% is going to try what you're saying. And 99% of that 1% is going to fail. True. So basically I'm creating competition in the 1%. It's not that much of a risk. There's not a lot of downside risk there. And it's fun. And if it wasn't fun, I just wouldn't do it.
Well, and you definitely catch the attention. Excuse me. The quality of your videos has, again, really skyrocketed. I mentioned it to you off camera, but it's really skyrocketed lately. And so whether it's the actual video quality, all the text you're doing, some of the editing, so definitely the apps help to kind of kick you off there. But I think it's been a real uptick in value. And I watch those and I'm thinking, wow, I took a few notes here. So it's definitely some quality stuff, man. So keep it up. And I think we got the same kind of comments from Brian number 1 or number 2. I'm not sure which Brian? One. So congrats on the growth. Yeah. So my wife would do a backflip if I ever made $1 off of YouTube. Been at it for a year, haven't hit monetization yet. Well, good luck, Brian number 1. Hope you do. Hope it works out for you.
It's fun.
And he also mentioned, have you also been streaming on Twitch lately? Haven't seen any notifications in a while, or is it dead?
Yeah, Twitch was where I did all the rip and chips for a long time, 3 days a week. Yeah. And God, it's so fun. It's such a fun little world, but I just haven't been able to do it. I lived a very, very unhealthy, dangerous lifestyle during that time. And the only way I basically would either have to give up my regular business, the main website, or I had to give up streaming, or I had to like die. So I gave up streaming, and I really hope to get back into it. Like I need to find out how to do that. Maybe it takes me hiring some kid in my basement. I don't know. But yeah, I haven't done Twitch in a long time, and I'm sad about that, genuinely.
I think we had an offer for an employee here. So if it's minimum wage, that'll work. I'm interested. Sadly, I'm not 17 though. So
17 is just such a good meme age. Like me and my wife, I was like, some 17-year-old kid. Like, I don't know.
all right. So I want to go back for just a second though, because I had a few more thoughts on the marketing. Have you seen it add revenue to your bottom line? How have you seen that really improve your store? Because that's obviously
Yeah.
one of the other drivers, right? So it's a connector.
Yeah, apparently. I don't have like a fancy pantsy way to like to truly know. And sales, it's been skewed because like this month Raging Surf came out in Japan, so sales are super high anyway. But I know for a fact, based on like comments I get, that like, hey, like one guy just yesterday, he was like, "Hey, I had a UPC I was gonna buy from someone, and I canceled that order and I bought it from you." And I'm like, "Oh, that was cool." And we have a promo code I put in the description of videos. I'm not going to say it here because that would skew my results. And that promo code comes up here and there. But yeah, shocking. Like it's that wasn't the intention really, but it's created a lot of customers.
That's good. That's good. I was
Yeah.
wondering how the outcome has been back to the customer line. You kind of mentioned at least the one video, but are you spending 30 hours a week recording videos? If you're spending 8 hours prepping for some of the scripts, I mean, how much time are you spending doing this now?
Oh, I'm sure an unhealthy amount of time. It's like I get up, relatively early compared to what I used to wake up at 2 p.m. So now I get up at like 10:30, which is like really good for me. I go down, I do all the stuff I have to do for Pokene, and then I basically film me working. And so that doesn't count as time because I'm filming myself working, and that's kind of become the approach I've taken. And then after I finish my orders, I sit on the couch and I scooch. Basically, I edit it to where it's sort of satisfying to watch. I throw some music on there. And that takes a couple hours to get it like looking good. And then if I'm ever sitting anywhere for any amount of time, like I'll let my dogs out to play, I'll sit on the deck and I'll type. Any second I have that's not dedicated to something specific, I just type scripts. So you'd be surprised at how much time you have in the day if you like anything. Yeah, like I'll go to the gym and my brother-in-law lifts with me. And in the 2 minutes, if he's late, I'm typing.
You're scripting.
Yeah, I'm just constantly typing. And then when I'm driving in the car, anywhere I'm driving, I put it on video mode and I just ramble about whatever subject I'm going to cover. And I'm not going to I don't get home and write down. I don't listen to it and write it down, but it gives me practice to talk without rambling too much because I do that. So I basically just talk to myself all day, and I'll do that in the basement too. I'll put my phone on record and I'll talk to myself. Like I'm nuts. And so yeah, it is like 30 hours a week, but it doesn't feel that way because of all the wasted time people don't take into consideration.
Well, I love it and hate it all at the same time, Brian. I have to join you once again. The amount of time, especially if I'm doing like a pre-recorded video, obviously I can't do it for the lives, but just for the intros, for example.
Yeah.
The intros that I do at the beginning of each of these lives, I just kind of talk to myself. It's like, what am I going to say? And I start talking and I record it sometimes and I kind of work through a couple of rounds of it and try to make it a little bit humorous and funny. But yeah, if you're crazy, I'm right there with you, Brian. So I think we're in good company.
Yeah, it's great. Talking to yourself it's super productive.
Yeah,
if you channel it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Well,
I'm not sure which one of us is the fool, but maybe both of us by the sounds of the way this conversation's going, Ms. Walrus. But I'm not massive sealed on credit. Ms. Walrus is cash only. Cash only. We got so he mentioned it earlier. He kind of pulled back from that, so he's not doing the streaming anymore. So no more 4 a.m. streams for now. One day.
That was fun though. Let me tell you, good times.
He said, "Thanks for the free pack promos. Appreciate it."
Got you.
Let's touch one more area, and then we'll jump into something fun. Actually, you know what? We're going to do it now. So I have an idea I want to do with you. Now, you've kind of done this in your video, but I'm going to give it a little bit of a different context, and we'll just kind of bounce back and forth. So we're going to build a business here on the fly.
Oh, that's fun. Okay.
I'm going to give you a couple of scenarios, and you're going to start to pitch the idea about how you would build the business.
Scary.
At certain moments, I'm going to interject you and throw a wrench in your path, and you're going to try to see if you can navigate it successfully. All right.
It sounds terrifying and wonderful all at once. Let's go for it.
All right. So right now, it's the present moment. So the current sets that are about to come out, that you're currently out, whatever the case is, it's this very moment in time.
Okay.
You have $1,000 in
Okay.
cash. You live in the U.S. Nobody knows you. You don't have any brand, no name, no company. You have no family, but you also have no responsibilities. You live with your parents, like in the basement, for example.
Nice.
Go. How do you start your business?
Okay, so you got $1,000. The new sets that are out, I would get on TikTok, and TikTok has a really good algorithm where it gives everyone a chance, especially if you're doing something that like is super viral, like rip and ships. You'll see people doing rip and ships that you don't even know. And so I would get on TikTok, and I would with that 1,000, I would spend like $100. I'd spend like $200 and get some 151, because that's like the most popular set right now. And then
English or Japanese?
I'd get both. I would get Japanese and I'd get English. So it's $250, say. And I would start a live stream on TikTok with a rip and ship. I would call whoever I could, maybe my mom and dad, whoever, if I had friends, anybody, to get on there and pretend to be customers. And I'd have them commenting. And what I would do is I would take the packs of 151, and I would pretend that I was selling them. I'd go, all right, Mark, like you bought 2 packs, let's go. And I would open them for Mark, who doesn't exist. And Mark would pull something great, hopefully. And then I'd be like, oh, shoot, Mark wants another one. Let's go. And then people that are watching will be like, ooh, I want to buy a pack. Mark's buying a pack. Like, because people
and now somebody comes in and says, who's this scammer? He's this new guy. He's trying to scam us.
I would 100%.
And it says in their comments.
Yeah. I would 100% support it. I'd be like, yeah, dude, I'm ripping people off left and right. I would just play with it, because what are you going to do with that?
Okay.
If you ever seen 8 Mile, Eminem wins because he disses himself at the end. I do that, and it works every time. So I would be ripping. Someone inevitably would come in and order one. And since I'm brand new, I don't have a website yet. So like everyone else on TikTok that's not official, I give them my Venmo and I say, hey, here's the Venmo. Let me know how many packs you want. We'll get them open for you. And then say it slows down a bit. I'll be like, all right, whoever buys the next pack, I'm giving a pack away with it or whatever. And I would do that. And maybe at the end of the night, I make $100 profit. I would then take that. So now I have $100 plus some people that bought from me. I would ship their stuff out so freaking quickly that it blows their effing mind. So they're like, oh, wow, this dude knows what's up. With the shipment, I would include some kind of QR
shipment
code.
Gets lost in the mail.
Shipping gets lost in the mail. This has happened before. Okay. I give them whatever they ordered, and I give them enough extra to where they're happier that it got lost. Okay. So there's one guy, we lost a packet, we lost a card, and it was my bad. I shipped him one, and then I found the card I lost, and I shipped him another one. I would make it so it would be impossible for them to be mad that I screwed up.
Okay.
Because I have $1,000. I only spent $250. I've got so much to play with still.
And you got 100 in profit, so you got $100 back. So,
and I got 100 in profit, and I would do that every single day. And every time someone bought from me, I would find a way to get their email, phone, contact, and I would then channel them into some sort of email lists where I could market sealed product, and I would just build my audience from there.
That was fun. I was going to throw a few more wrenches, but I wanted to see where you went with those.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just talking. I don't know if it would work, but it seems like a good idea.
Yeah, write that down. Write that down, somebody.
More specific than anything else I said today.
All right, we'll do another fun one. These things just came to mind. I kind of watched our interactions via chat, and I just thought these would be some fun things to do with you, Brian. So I'm going to rapid fire 5 questions, and I want you to try to answer them with only 1 to 3 words.
Ooh, that's a real challenge for me. God damn. All right, bring it on. Let's go.
All right. Charizard versus Lugia. Who wins?
Lugia. For sure.
Biggest future Pokemon set to come?
The new shiny set. December.
Okay. What do you hate most about this hobby?
Fakeness.
Customer service or right-priced products?
Customer service.
Best book you've read last year? This year, I mean.
I listened to the newest Alex Hormozy audiobook.
Okay. Which was about? We're going to extend that one.
Yeah, so I only got through half of it so far, but it's it's basically how to get leads and what to do with them once they're in your funnel.
Okay. All right. CRM type stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah. Not really related to Pokemon, but it helps.
Yeah. Anything can translate. Anything can translate. Yeah. Cool. I like it. We're going to dive over to the personal side a little bit. We're going to speak a little bit about how you actually mentioned recently you had some bipolar. You have a bipolar disorder, and I think it was number 2, right?
Number 2. 2's the better one. Not great, but better.
It's been a journey for you, and I want to kind of hear your perspective on how you've navigated that, the good and the bad, prior to addressing it and the medication, everything you mentioned in your video. And then, of course, now and kind of the impacts of trying to run the business and start the business through this process. Because if I'm not mistaken, you were actually trying to get some medication, get some help for it as you were getting the business off the ground. So there was all kind of happening at the same time, but maybe my timeline's off. So speak to that a little bit and kind of let us know how that's been for you.
Yeah, so I made a super cool video about it. So anyone in the comments, you can check that out. But
yeah,
so bipolar 2, it's not like, ooh, you're happy or you're sad. It's more like you're super hyper manic, or you're like depressed. People confuse with sad. Depressed really means like you have zero motivation to do anything. You're not sad, like you don't want to cry. It's like complete lack of motivation. And so bipolar is that, or hyper manic, hyper creative, hyper action, do. And when you have that and it's not medicated, if you're bipolar 1, that's a whole nother thing. If you're bipolar 2, it's not as severe on either side, but it can lead to some problems. So before the medication, on the low, the depressed side, I would sleep for 18 hours a day. Not because I was like tired or lazy. It's like you can't physically do anything else. I compared it to telling a high person to like snap out of it. Like you're high, you can't snap out of it. Yeah, or a drunk driver to like drive better. It's like your brain lacks the dopamine to really act, so you're just out of commission for days. And then sometimes you hit a normal area, but like a lot of times they call them cycles. You just cycle to the opposite, where you get extremely antsy. Depending on where you're at in the spectrum, that's when you go out and cheat on your partner, gamble all your money away, horrible things. But for me, it basically, what's the word? It basically came out as really creative ideas and taking on a ton of risk. And so you'll see a lot of bipolar 2 people that are entrepreneurs, a ton of them. And you see a lot of them start and stop things, and they'll get extremely good at them sometimes. And then they'll just drop them and they won't go back to them. And I've had a million businesses and hobbies and whatnot. And I talk about those. I don't need to get into it, but, and so
I like the petting.
Oh, the zoo. Yeah, I'm at a zoo, which was absolutely nutty. And you do really stupid things, but some things you do can end up being really good things if channeled correctly. And almost all of my ideas came and went. And then when I finally got medicated, after a lot of convincing from a friend who has bipolar 2, I kept that creative, ambitious energy, which I was afraid I'd lose when I got the meds.
Right.
But the depression side was heavily reduced. So it was like a lot less horrible. And when it was bad times on the low, my wife would come and take over the company. So there's a good chance that a lot of my customers, my wife packed, if it looks nicer than usual, it's because I'm depressed on the couch and she did it all. And you learn to kind of live with it and treat it as a superpower. Because when you're on, you are on. And that's when you start a YouTube channel and start getting monetized. If you know what I'm saying.
Right. I'm following you.
Yeah. And it really depends on, can you get yourself help? Can you get medicated for it or whatever? I'm not a freaking doctor, but if you can do that and you choose to see it as a positive, as like a superpower, you can do a lot more than like a normal person. You just have to channel the dopamine spikes, right? So essentially that's what it is. It's like, here's 3 shots of dopamine. Do whatever you want with it. But in 2 weeks, we're going to take all the dopamine out of your body. So during that 3 days or 4 days or whatever, you better do some
Get it
cool
all done.
stuff.
Yeah.
Because in a week, you're done. That's kind of how it goes. It makes entrepreneurship really messy. You know?
Where were you at in the business? Because were you a year into Pokemon Any? Like, when did this all occur in terms of the times you were starting to address it and get medication? Where was the business at in that stage?
Yeah, so I could be the poster child for Lamictal, which is the drug I'm on, because literally after I made a whole video about all my stupid ideas. Literally a couple months after I got medicated, I started Pokene, and it turned into what it did. And
Okay,
it's
so it was
because
after. Okay.
yeah, so it was like after I started, because they start you low at like 50 milligrams or whatever, and they boosted me up to 200. And once I got to like 150, 175, that's when I started the company. And I chalk it up to 2 things. Either one, a lot of my ideas I had while I was like in crazy unmedicated mode could have ended up being very successful had I stuck with them and not gotten that like
Right.
multiple ups and downs. Or I just got really lucky picking Pokemon whilst being
As the one.
medicated for the first time during a pandemic. I think a lot of it's luck based. But if it wasn't for the medication, though, I would have definitely just dropped it like a rock.
Let me ask you this, because I mean, obviously, you went through a pretty big roller coaster leading up to starting Pokene. How did you and your wife know this wasn't just another petting zoo idea, right?
Well, again, it was a couple months after the meds, so like I was slightly more normal than usual, and that helped. But that's the thing, dude. There was no way to know. And I still to this day ask her, I'm like, Andrea, is this a bipolar idea or is this a smart idea? And it can go either way. And honestly, like we didn't know what would happen. I by the time I was on the drugs, I talked to the psych and I was like, what are some strategies to know, just like you said, is this a crazy idea or a good idea that's just crazy?
Right.
And he's like, run it by someone who's normal, for lack of a better word.
Let's make sure you use air quotes there.
Normal, yeah. Neurotypical. Ooh.
Right.
And so I essentially made Andrea like a little presentation. I was like, all right, this is what I want to do. Here's the downside risk. What do you think about it? And she thought it was a little nutty, but I was like, here's the data. I'm like, if our first thing we sold was these Charizard cards and then Shiny Star V. I'm like, if what we buy, if this doesn't work as a business, we can sell it, and all we're gonna lose is eBay fees. I'm like, so let's start really small, and if the small thing works, let's go deeper. I kept her essentially like we were in it together. So we had like a normal person and then me, and it created a really good balance.
Okay.
Because yeah, you're right. There's no way to tell when you're nuts. It's hard to know.
Did that bring a lot of confrontation between the two of you, or did it work as a pretty good symbiosis?
Starting out was great. What was the word you used? Confrontation?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. The confrontation started because I ended up on this like 2-month just manic bender where I worked for like 110, 120 hours a week building this company. Like I'd lock myself in a room. I did this with the ASMR YouTube channel too. I just locked myself in a room, didn't eat, sleep, drink, lift, nothing. I just worked on things, perfecting the website, looking for Japanese people, doing math, all sorts of stupid stuff. And that, she missed me and my friends missed me. And I didn't talk to anybody for months. Like I was just locked in. You can look at like TikToks from back then. I don't look good. Like I look really
Unhealthy.
rough.
Right.
And some of the ones where I look really bad, like I just straight archived those. Kind of like, yeah, cause it got bad. It got bad. So that didn't help the marriage/friendship. And my friends kind of gave me a bit of an intervention, and were like, Brian, like you're actually doing really well. Like your business is actually successful, but like you need to cool it.
Pull it back. Yeah. Pull it back.
Yeah. And and then funnily enough, I can't tell you the exact time frame, but at some point, I went the opposite where I was like down bad. I'm medicated, but still, you still get these ups and downs. And I couldn't get off the couch for like 2 weeks, and Andrea just had to run the company. And
Wow.
you can see it again in if you look at TikTok, you can see me posting like multiple videos a day, and then you just see this like 2
Nothing.
weeks where there's no posts. And I'm like, yep,
You're out.
and you'll see
That's
that
when
on
you're
social media. You'll see that on YouTube right now. It's like I'm posting at 2 videos a day sometimes. But a month ago, if you look, there's like probably 12 days where nothing. Just
right.
that's just how it is.
You know, an outsider looking at anything, well, he's just busy. He's, you know,
Uh-huh.
working on this, working on that. Yeah, but yeah, it could be the same.
Yeah.
Down for a couple of days, just sleeping, you know, resting.
Exactly.
How has this helped your relationship now with your wife? Is it now stronger as you've went through this process? You've obviously, you know, in many ways done things more successfully, if you would allow me to say that, than you've probably ever done before.
Oh yeah, we're good now.
Yeah.
I've got a balance now. We basically agreed that on new releases like Raging Surf, I'm gonna be in the basement all day long and all night long. But in between releases, I try to get everything done like by the time she gets home from work, and then we
Okay.
hang out, we have dinner, we go to the gym, and then I get back to work later that night. So I still work more than most people, but like, you know, we have family dinners twice a week, we hang out with friends twice a week. Like, we're good now, but it took a while to get there.
Yeah. Yeah, making time for your significant other is important.
Yeah.
And I can share some of the perspective in terms of the workaholic and, you know, doing many hours and
I don't doubt it.
missing some opportunities to have those quality moments. And sometimes you got to be smacked a little bit to see it and say, okay, all right, let me step away.
Yeah, so you don't get them back. I mean, there's
No,
there's only a few holidays. You
that's
don't get those
right.
back. So if you miss
No,
them, like, you know, you better have a good reason.
that's right. I'm glad she took you on a vacation.
Facts. Yeah, the vacation was good. Yeah, that was part of our agreement. We're like, we're gonna go on one bougie vacation a year,
Yeah,
and
you
just
deserve it, man.
whatever opportunity cost we lose out on, that's the cost of the vacation.
Yeah, but what you gained is probably so much more valuable. It's
100%.
just not in the bank.
Actually,
You
the
can't
last
see it in the
vacation, I like basically broke my foot and I was in a boot for like 3 months. So, you
That's
know,
what happens when you leave your environment and you don't you see the sunlight and all the other things
yeah,
that you forget to do when you're working in the basement for
my
40
body
hours.
forgot how to operate pickleball, dude. That's a dangerous sport.
Football is it? That's how you broke it?
No, pickleball.
Oh, pickleball.
Yeah, pickleball. Not even kidding. That F's you
Oh,
up if you're
Lord.
playing competitively enough.
I don't think I'll be there, but somebody mentioned it recently. I think it was my neighbor. Says, "Hey, we should play pickleball." I'm like, what is that? I
It's
didn't even know what it
the
was.
fastest growing sport in America.
Really?
Hmm.
Huh. I thought it was going to be axe throwing.
It's probably
Number
pretty
two.
close. Probably pretty damn close.
Well, I want to touch also a little bit on the business side, but it's more personal because now you've reached this level. You're continuously seeing, for the most part, growing success. How much is enough? When do you say, "Hey, this is it. I'm good here," or "I'm gonna pull back"? Like, do you have an idea of what's enough for you?
Uh, Nothing and everything. Like, we we try to live our personal life. I call it the Taco Bell market, the Taco Bell budget, where, and I've done this since I bought a house, where if one of us loses our job, we can go get a job at Taco Bell and still live our normal life. That's like,
Okay,
I think it's
I like
brilliant
it.
because it's like you live under your means. So I mean, even when I did when I left like my I had some corporate America jobs, and when I left those to work for the beers team, the real estate company I worked for, you know, they're a big deal at Berkshire Hathaway, but it's ultimately a family business. They're essentially entrepreneurs. And I was like, well, if I get, you know, if they laid me off, I could get a job at Taco Bell and we can still afford our mortgage.
Right.
So I don't really need the money. I mean, like, we're good. Like, I could quit Pokene. I could go to Taco Bell. I could work, you know, 40 hours a week there and we'd be solid. So, like, I'm good. I just, if I wasn't having fun doing this, there's no amount of money that would make me keep doing it. I would just stop. Like, at any time I could get sick of this thing fire sell all of it, and I never look back. But at the same time, as long as I'm enjoying it, I always want to break records. Like my goal right now is $10 million in 1 year in revenue. And I don't even know how the hell I'd do it. But like once I hit that, if I hit that, I'll wanna double it.
Right.
Originally my goal, I was gonna get a Pokemon tattoo every $1 million I sold. And so my goal was to have my whole arm covered by like, a couple years. And we're gonna be at 5 million by the end of this year. So I can't have that'd be too many. So now I have different goals. So I got the Charizard at 1. I'm gonna get like Blastoise or something when we hit 5 million, and then when we hit 10 million, 20 million, and at that point I'm gonna probably quit. But
and
yeah,
then you're gonna want to have skin surgery to get those tattoos removed.
Yeah. No regrets. Am I right?
That's right. Let me see the Charizard. Let's see it.
Oh yeah. It's from the Unagaba style.
Yeah.
So it's like so like my goal is to fill up my arm, I guess.
Okay.
I'm just not really motivated by like we're very minimalist here. Like we own nothing. So
but you're chasing the success, you're chasing the process, you're chasing
I like the high.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not the money you're chasing, it's the other things. So
oh yeah, money's lame. I have a lot of money, or I had a lot of money, and now it's like I don't care. Like money sucks.
Yeah, you have to deal with it. It's a problem.
Yeah, it's stressful, and sometimes it's fun stress. Like, ooh, where do I want to allocate my funds this time? But ultimately, it's like you just get taxed.
Right.
So
more money, more problems, right?
That's apparently it. I love the high. Like I said, if I get sick of this job and I'm only doing it for the money, like I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah, I agree. If you don't have an enjoyment in what you're doing, then you need to leave. You need to
leave and go to Taco Bell.
That's right.
Get those,
at least you get free tacos, right?
Yeah, you get free Crunchwrap Supremes when you work there. Why the hell wouldn't you?
Other than the heart attack that comes about 2 years later, but that's we'll talk about that later.
Cost of doing business,
One of the other personal areas I want to know about was your mentor, and whether that was they were known because they came to you or you came to them, or it was just maybe somebody you kind of watched that you learned from through your 20s, and now I think you're 30 this year.
I am 30. I'm old.
Yeah, I think it was April 25th. Is that right?
Jesus, you are Nardwar of this industry. Goddamn, that's impressive. Yeah, April 25th, my big B-day.
All right, man. So who was your mentor? Who was the person that you really looked up to?
Shoot. I don't even know if there's anyone specific. The whole entrepreneur thing is like just kind of is in my blood. Like my grandpa, he's kind of like locally famous. He was a barber, and then his dad was the original barber for that. My cousin's got like a nail salon thing going on. My mom, she's a teacher too, but she like started her own preschool, so like that's kind of entrepreneurial.
That's nice.
My uncle flips gas pumps, like vintage gas pumps.
Oh, okay.
And my grandpa raced pigeons for a living, which is a real thing. He bred and raced pigeons across America.
Wow.
And then
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so there was a barber grandpa and the pigeon racing grandpa. And pigeon racing grandpa also started a beekeeping company. So I think it's just all my family around me, because like none of my friends are into this crap. Like they all have like very normal jobs. So just like my like family, just like think watching them.
Right.
Probably about it. I listen to a lot of like Gary Vee and Alex Hermosi, like the YouTube life, but that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, grandpas play a special role, that's for sure.
It's cool. One. Yeah. What was it? What did he do?
He was in the FBI.
Oh, that's badass.
Yeah, so then he came out, and then he was a detective for the remainder of his career until he retired. And then he worked in his yard in his house in West Virginia until he passed. So, he was the one that I stayed with. So my mom worked 2 or 3 jobs, single mom. Challenges in and out, and stay with my grandparents. So they raised me. So it was my grandpa. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. FBI, pigeon racing.
That's right. It's about the same, right?
They both touch you differently.
All right, my man. Well, it has been a blast. We're going to wrap it up with the 2 questions that we typically wrap it up with. the first one's for you specifically, and then the second one, of course, is the generic one that you know is coming. So hopefully you gave it some thought. The first one, how would you advise someone to best market their new business with no investment and trying to maximize the results? Because you've done a great job in marketing lately, at least. I don't know about prior to that, but you've definitely done a great job. And how would you advise somebody to really maximize that with no money?
Yeah, so for our first like nearly year of business, we didn't spend a single dollar in advertising. All we did was make TikTok videos. And when I was really manic, we did 12 TikToks a day.
Wow.
And the logic was most of them will suck, but if you do 12 a day, once a week, you're probably going to get a pretty decent one. And these were not well-made TikToks. These were like selfie videos and like just, trending music. So I would say TikTok, and then take the TikTok video and throw it on IG, whatever Instagram calls it, Reels, and then YouTube Shorts. Yep. So just make sure they're a minute long and throw them everywhere. And I would just do that multiple times a day. And don't be like the typical YouTuber who's like, I don't want to offend anyone on here. There's a lot of people that you watch on YouTube where you can tell they actually own a business, like Mason and Rob, for example. Yep. And then there's a lot of them where you can tell they want to own a business. And they just, I don't want to insult nobody. Be real. Like, I'm a very real person. I know my flaws. I know what I'm good at. And I'm proud of both of those. So when you're doing your TikToks, don't be fake. Make 12 TikToks a day and be real. Nice. And that should be all you really need. Nothing much has changed. You have no excuse to not say. If you're making 12 a day, then you can complain.
Something's going to hit.
Yeah.
Something's going to hit. Yeah. I like that. Yeah. I don't know who you had in mind, but I think the be real part was a good general way to address it.
Yeah. And I'm not even calling out anyone specific. I just like, you can tell if someone actually is in it or if they're just like trying to be an influencer. You can definitely tell. And I think most people in the comments, they know what I'm saying, even without like knowing it, because that's why my content is doing well. Because they're like, oh, you read my comments. They're like, man, finally some realness in the industry. I'm like, that means you've seen the same thing I do.
And it's, you can't always describe it very well, but you feel it when you see it.
Yeah, it's a gut thing.
Yeah.
It's a gut thing for sure.
So apparently, yeah, you're getting called out, iFOMO. We didn't want to say it. It was you. Sorry, man.
Nah, you got Stitch as your profile. You're set. You're all good.
All right. The last one. One day we'll leave this place. We'll leave, of course, the hobby. What do you want to leave in the hobby when you're gone, Brian? What's your legacy?
I would love to get, if my content stays evergreen, people can still watch it when I'm dead. I would love for as many people as possible that want to start something and just vibe with it. Doesn't need to be leave the 9 to 5. Like, ooh, 9 to 5s are great. Trust me, they're great. It just, whatever you want to do, watch my content and I hope people do it and they actually try and they only stop if they decide they want to. Like, they don't give up because they're like, oh, I'm not good enough. Like, watch my content and actually get inspired to do something you actually want to do. And it doesn't need to be profitable.
And I think that speaks to why you were probably so excited on making $40 on your YouTube channel, because it was a sign of success in that. Whereas selling a booster box is not the same thing.
No, because I didn't invent Pokemon. I didn't do anything. Like, if I sell a Raging Surf box, that's not impressive, really. Like, some Japanese people do really pretty pictures. They should be the ones smiling. But if I can like make content and create something and make $40 off it, that's freaking awesome. So I hope someone watching it isn't just like, ooh, I want to be rich too. I hope they're watching and go, oh man, I want to do A, B, C, or D, and they actually do it. Because that'd be dope.
I love it. Brian, as I said, man, this has been a blast. I've truly enjoyed it. I do think we broke my record here. We're at 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Let's go.
Something we can watch back later if you missed it. As always, as I always say in the end of the podcast, deeply appreciate your time, Brian. I don't take it lightly. It means a lot to us, and it means a lot to me as well. So thank you for donating your time to us today, and I hope we can stay in touch and talk more in the future.
Oh, dude, it was such a fun time. Like,
I enjoyed it.
This was super fun. So thank you. Super fun.
All right,
time.
guys. All of his links are down in the description as always. So go check them out. Pokene down below. Otherwise, we will look forward to seeing everybody on the next week. And we wish everybody a great night. We'll talk to you soon, guys. Have a good one.
Y'all. Fancy little screen there.